There we go.
If anything, all three of us are early.
Yeah. Kill that.
Yeah, I had to go renew my driver's license, so.
Ah, that's
You did
cool.
it that quickly?
I'm surprised, yeah. Well, I live in a small town and the registry's pretty tiny.
Yeah, your town is pretty small.
It is.
What a
It's a French
fantastic...
town. It's a French town, actually.
Oh, the thumbnail. Yeah.
Yes, what a fantastic thumbnail.
What's the
My
thumbnail?
soul...
There's the regular pedo baron for the America one. It's like a bloated version. Yeah, I liked it, and I was like, okay, cool. You know what gets the point across?
All right, man. All right, dude. Sounds good.
Loli debate.
Oh. Lolly debate. Oh,
Joined
boy.
by that creepy reading.
Wait, we need to get Digi on here.
Oh,
No.
God. You know what? I'd do it.
I would rage so freaking hard.
Well, he claims he's not doing it anymore, so I don't know. Did you see fucking Sargon and Louis, whatever his name's, fucking debate there, Sheldon?
About what?
They were fucking debating lolicon, and Sargon's talked about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and practical.
So he's Rika Fag, basically.
Well, no, Sargon said that you have to go with practical application. And Louis, whatever his face is, was sitting there saying he's a free speech absolutionist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Practical. What does he mean practical, though?
You have to, from Sargon's perspective, there's the idea and principles of having absolute expression. And, that's all well and good. That's beautiful for a fairy book, but there's what you can actually, portray. And I was like, yeah, no, that sounds fair. So yeah, there was a lot of give and take, and they got sidetracked a couple times. I got an hour in, and I'm like,
I'll have to listen to it, because it sounds like, I mean, if he says, free speech absolutism is a fairy tale, which I...
Okay. Hateful,
I think it is.
Aren't you
Well,
in...
no, hold on. I'm not done.
Well, I'm just telling Hateful because he's in the chat, and I was like, aren't you in the
okay.
Limbo Discord? Because he's supposed to be in here. I'm almost positive he used to be. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Sargon says, that's a fairy tale, which maybe it is to some degree, but at the same time, I mean, he's attaching pragmatism to lolicon, but I don't know how exactly, right? It's kind of... I'll have to listen to it.
Yeah. Join the Discord.
Sounds fucking cool, man.
Oh, we have Eric Johnson in the chat. Where's your boys at, man? You promised me they'd drive by and cap me 2 weeks ago. I'm still alive, man. I'm disappointed.
Oh, fantastic. This is going to be one of those days.
Is this on your main channel?
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. It's on the main channel.
Okay. I was just trying to find
I
the
like
stream.
interacting with the chat, because nothing is more irritating than when I hop on a live stream to look at somebody's work and I'm talking to them and they don't respond. Hateful needs a link. I'll go ahead and shoot one over to him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, crap. I can't make one.
Oh, here, I got it. Invite. Yeah, he was here before. I guess he must have bailed. Bug. And there you go.
I should probably bail out of some of these Discord chats I've got. I got like 50.
I know. Me and Jay's fucking reservers. I've amassed this collection.
Hello.
Hello,
How's
Hateful.
it going, man?
I'm doing all right. I just finished Rebus's section of the Loki video.
Nice.
Just finished the opening, and now I just got to do mine and re-record
Oh,
some
you're almost
lines for
done?
the conclusion. Yeah, I'm almost done.
Nice.
uh,
Did you get yours in, Sheldon?
I did.
Yeah, he got his in. I just finished a few days ago cleaning up Sheldon's because there was like some mistakes made in editing.
Okay. So, what was your standpoint, since we'll warm up before freaking Creepy gets here? No, it's to Leo, because I don't want to misquote him here. Yeah.
That's fair. My standpoint is I believe that lolicon pornography, because I noticed the difference between art of young kids and art and pornographic art of young kids.
Okay.
I believe, on my own stance, that lolicon, pornographic art of kids, is in a way child pornography, and I believe people who jack off to it are by definition pedophiles.
Okay.
I'm arguing from a moral standpoint, not from a legal one.
All right. But my question here is that, do you really feel that everybody should really come together and make this, I guess, a crusade? I don't know. My misconstruing this is...
Well, I mean, first of all, you're assuming crusade, which, in fairness, you are on the right path on that, because it is me we're talking about.
Yeah.
However, when it comes to laws, I would personally think we should have better laws on this, but I'd need to actually sit down and figure out where exactly we'd have to draw those lines between artistic expression, which is guaranteed via the First Amendment, or
Oh, your boy Eric Johnson just threw us $5 with nothing attached to it. Eric, if you
good.
Yeah, if you'd like to have some follow-up words, I'll keep my eye on the discussion there, as Leo seemed quite happy to see you.
Oh yes, he's been a joy, an absolute treasure in all the chats. But anyways, I would like to see better litigation on it. I'd like to see better laws in place, but we'd need to actually dig down and find out where we'd have to establish those laws.
Well, here's one I'll pitch at Sheldon for this. I wouldn't be offended if the exception to the obscenity law, of it being having artistic merit, went away. What do you think about that, Sheldon?
Would I be upset about it?
Yeah, since there's, as allegedly as the law goes, is if the art itself has some kind of merit or the content, it's supposed to be an exception to obscenity. What do you think about that?
When we're talking about things like merit, what we're talking about is a subjective interpretation of something, right? I mean, merit itself is not a part of material reality, right? Merit is something that human beings can interpret from the environment, right?
Yes.
So, personally, I don't. It's an interesting question, and I haven't really thought too much about it. But I mean, should merit even be something we're putting into law? I would question that action itself.
Real quick before we get any deeper, Pat says the invite's invalid. Was Patch accidentally banned here by any chance?
I don't think so. Here,
Okay.
I'll try and throw it to him direct. We'll do that. Invite. Copy. I will just get my sorry, but
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Sheldon, but
no.
Oh, it's fine.
Tell him to check Skype.
I guess Leo was talking about his views, and I guess I'll quickly express mine. When it comes to stuff like lolicon, what I'm only concerned with is, what is this stuff actually doing to the population? As far as I'm aware, the data on the kind of potential harms or potential lack of harm that lolicon's existence has on people is yet to be determined. This has not been an area that has been studied. I know it has been in a broader context concerning all pornography in a couple of different countries, but that study does not isolate lolicon, and we can't really test. We can't isolate the variable and see its effect on the population. So frankly, I'm undecided at this point. I don't know. I don't know if it's harming people. I don't know if it's not harming people. I don't know if it's possibly preventing harm. I have no idea.
I'll follow up with this. The exception.
I'm here, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's pause to introduce everybody, which I'll probably lose my train of thought here. I'm FNJR, joined by Hateful.
Hello.
LioConVoy.
how it be what it do?
Patchwork Art.
Sup?
Sup? And Shelly D. And we're gonna go ahead.
Hey.
Yeah, we're gonna debate about lolicon. And yeah, as I predicted, I completely lost my thought. The follow-up point that I was going to ask Sheldon about that, when they say artistic merit, what would you think would be the bonus of having lolicon? I'm kind of at a loss.
It's not about what I think. It's about the fact that people can find merit in artistic works, and it's not up to me to decide what that merit is.
Well,
it's up to any individual to decide what the merit is.
Yeah, and I know that people have tried to cite like Romeo and Juliet for having younger characters in there. I guess the counter argument to have was that really one of Shakespeare's best pieces? Would we really suffer that greatly, even if things came down at the absolute?
Yeah. Personally, if you're asking me, like personally, do I see merit in it? I mean, I see merit in any art insofar as it's a skill that somebody, or it's an action somebody took to make something, right? But insofar as lolicon, I mean, I'm not personally interested in it. I don't find it appealing. I can see merit in it only insofar as somebody drew something, and sometimes it takes skill to draw things. That's it.
Well,
Right. Leading on with what Sheldon said, it's not really exactly about artistic merit, but it's the fact is that if we see a growing trend of, let's just say pedophiles using it as a means to groom children and like as a demonstrative, figure piece, if they were to DM this to somebody, who is underage to, I guess, say, attempt to normalize it to them, I guess.
Mhm.
You understand where I'm coming from?
I would like to point out that there is one singular benefit that I can name to the existence of lolicon and other forms of drawn child pornography, is it does operate well as a diagnostic tool for pedophilia. In regions where that porn is legal, psychiatrists who are treating people with clinical pedophilia will often use that artwork as a means of diagnostics, since physical, like, photographs or, you know, physical children being naked isn't really an ethical way of diagnosing like someone being attracted to children. So they will use lolicon as an exploit in order to properly diagnose it. That's the only benefit I can really see from the existence of lolicon, is diagnostically.
Right. Well, yeah, but I would contest that only slightly, and I would claim that it's possible that pedophilia is not merely a mental disorder.
Well,
right?
I know that, but I'm just saying this is one benefit that I can name that it does have. Now, socially, I don't think that it's appropriate to openly distribute stuff like that. It's just because, from my individual perspective, I feel that it normalizes the existence of pornography of children in any form.
It definitely does have a normalization effect. I mean, if you have a population who at one point is not as accepting of that thing, and then over time, gradually, they become more accepting of it, you're going to see more of it in your sample, right? So there's definitely some kind of normalization going on there, and I would agree with that.
Right.
I think that the normalization of sexualization of children is negative, because children are underdeveloped. They don't have the capacity to consent in an informed way. They know very little about their bodies or how sex will affect their bodies. So it just feels like it's to the detriment of children for that to be used in any way outside of diagnostics.
I have something on the tip of my tongue, and I guess Leo could tell me to shut up here at any point in time. There's a... I'm trying to present it without being a penis here.
You just do it, dude.
Okay, fine. We're talking about things that can't consent. Well, for the furry fandom and bestiality, for example, I noticed that there seems to be at least some level of... how similar do you feel that is?
You can just come forward and ask me about it. I am fully aware that there was a leak. That there was a leak recently. Of some unsavory and disturbing works that I produced for a former associate of mine that I am openly ashamed of, involving bestiality. By
the way, I leaked it all. It was me. I did.
God damn it, Sheldon! You weren't supposed to
you know what, Sheldon? You know the fact that you ratted out Dark Age, at least you're consistent, and I do love consistency. So
I don't blame Sheldon for leaking it. I would have done it eventually myself, probably.
Well, I did ask Leo this earlier. Go ahead. Yeah.
Morally, I do think what I did was reprehensible, and I am working on making amends. I did it so I could eat.
No, and
I was financially struggling, and I admit that was part of why I accepted the commissions, was because I needed to survive. But I also understand that morally what I drew was reprehensible, and I'm holding myself accountable for it by reaching out to independent artists that have a smaller community than I do, and I'm trying to give them the financial equivalent of the money I earned making that for Lily, so that maybe other artists won't have to do the things I had to do in order to survive.
Yeah, that's perfectly acceptable, but I was just in more of a curiosity. As for lolicon, and I won't just throw this just at Patch. What do people think of artists who draw that work, for example?
I think if you make it specifically because it's something you're into, if you make it as a way to, vent your attraction to children or to animals, then I think instead of drawing pictures of strawberry shortcake getting gangbanged, you should probably be seeing a fucking therapist.
Yeah, it was the same point I made to Anthony in the pre-stream. What was
Pre-stream.
it? Yeah, it was Sunday or whatever.
Yeah.
When we were talking about Murky Pie, and just how the lolicon images that they created or whatever it didn't really seem to be normalizing it. It seemed to be more like a projection of trauma, whether it was from the artist himself or like if it was from his commission base. I don't know.
I understand why artists do that. Some of them make this kind of porn because the people who request it are very wealthy and can provide for them. Some people do it as ways to regulate their own trauma or regulate their own paraphilias. And that's all well and good, but it's not going to be as effective as seeing a counselor. I morally, it is questionable to me, and that's why I'm holding myself accountable for the things I made. But I do think that it's incredible.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do think that it is incredibly questionable to produce pornography like that and distribute it actively online.
No, I got that too, and I can't read into your mind. I have to take you at face value here because we live in a society where innocent until proven guilty. That's fine. That's cool. But the point I would have gotten across if Leo were still here is it would be not in vain, perhaps. It would be very time consuming to have to go through each individual artist and to check their individual motivations for whether it be bestiality or lolicon, and then trying to
absolutely, but I'm not saying that we as a collective have to do that. I think that's something that the artists have to do themselves, is they need to evaluate their motives, and then they need to make a decision about, well, do I want to keep indulging this habit I've developed, or do I want to get real help?
Now, this I guess we could just make this without mentioning your former employees thing, specific name. They bought feral art, correct?
Yes, a consistent amount of it.
Yes. Had they been a member of the furry fandom, would that really have even raised an eye?
Probably not. There is a substantially vocal amount of furries who engaged in bestiality fetishes through artwork.
Okay. If I remember correctly, and I know this is probably not the whole thing, Kiro the Wolf's biggest defense was, I'm only interested in the feral art. And I think that probably would have worked if that had been where it would have stopped in his case. Clearly that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I guess the counter-argument to that would be, well, see where that interest in the art led him. Again, part of the reason why I wanted to do the stream is that I know that Leo came very on guard about Creepy expressing that he wasn't really interested in trying to police people's interests and such. And
well, that wasn't what I was told. I was told that Creepy said that he doesn't want to acknowledge that any of this exists.
Okay, so Creepy will be here shortly. Okay. Oh, okay.
That is something I do want to address with you, Creepy, when you get here,
Yeah,
because
no,
I know you're probably in the chat.
Okay. He's still getting ready here.
Yeah, that was actually my first question was like, how did we get to this point?
Yeah, I noticed Creepy was saying that, or no, Leo wanted to have a discussion with Creepy about the topic, and I said, we'll say I inserted myself. I like that version better. That I wound up butting in, and I was like, oh, and then suddenly I was like, you know what, instead of just throwing this on the floor, you know what, we'll have a good discussion, we'll get some good numbers, we'll have some thoughts on this, and considering that I'm not going to pull a Digibro and say, I'm on the front, no, I'm not on the front line. At worst here, I'm going to argue for someone's right to not give a shit, which is what I feel is at stake. I feel like a lot of things you said there were reasonable. Again, I sat there and said yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. Well, is anybody contesting that Creepy can have a view? I mean, like...
I'm not contesting that at all. I'm just saying that morally I disagree with his view.
Oh yeah, well.
Well, like I said, like there's a couple questions I wanted to ask, both Leo and Creepy to just help moderate the discussion. One of them is what is your definition of art? That's one of the major points of. Yeah, I know, right?
I'm sure we're gonna get into it. I'm sure this will be fun. I also want to say something else. I'm not gonna try to interject too much, but I'm definitely gonna moderate here. I'm gonna try to keep people on track. That's primarily the reason I want to be here, because I'm very I want to get to the meat of everything.
Sorry, I had to step away for a minute. I'm back now.
Yeah, we were just discussing and setting up for when our when Creepy gets here. One more time, Patch. What was the allegation that how Creepy felt with him?
From what I was told by Leo, he said that he doesn't want to acknowledge that this stuff exists, that there are people in his community who do look at pictures of children having sex with adults, that he just doesn't want to think about it.
Okay,
because
so
he'd rather just focus on horror.
We'll hold it. When you're asserting drawn, correct? Not real child pornography.
Drawn is the assertion.
Okay, yeah.
Because
just
these
making
people are
Creepy.
These people are self-proclaimed lolicons.
Okay,
so.
Creepy came back to the fandom to help out with situations with like Toon Critic and such, and he's been very hands-on. He's been very encouraging, and I feel that Josh helped spread the word because Creepy, might have nudged him.
No, there's no contest here that Creepy does care about real children. I've seen the help he's done in regards to.
No,
predators.
man, I saw him kick a bunch of 12-year-olds.
Okay, but yeah,
Leo, man, you got to stop looking at yourself in the mirror when you're beating on 12-year-olds.
Okay.
Oh no, I've been exposed.
Yeah, but my whole point here is I think whether you said this or someone else did, someone said it's not that much. It's not that difficult to help children from predators. Yeah, and let's keep it that way. Let's make it simple. Let's go after predators going after real children, and so I don't have to fucking chase down like 20 or 40 estranged furries or 50 or 60 fucking weeaboos and so forth and so on.
Here's my view on that. All right, I would never ever ask for anyone to go on a tirade and hunt down every single person who likes lolicon. That's ineffective. Doesn't work and nigh impossible to do. Offenders, absolutely just find them, report them, do whatever. My issue with the lolicon issue is because of my moral stance on it and because of what I believe it is. Were I Creepy, if I find out somebody in my server is into that, I'd eject them, especially if I have a server with kids in it. That's my view.
I hard agree with you there, Leo. I have had multiple people in my community who were attracted to drawings of little kids getting the do, and I've banned every single one that's shown up because I don't feel like that should be affiliated with me or my community in any way. It doesn't align with my ideals, and it doesn't align with what I think is permissible.
Now, here's what I'll do for the editor here, right? If God were to part the heavens and turn to me and say, Leo, exterminatus, then we're on a different ball game. But until then, no.
Well, that's an interesting point that I'll get back to, and hopefully I'll remember this. Sheldon is a guy who used to be part of a group called the Pony Fuckcast, and I know I've been on some of the streams where I've read a line or two of some questionable fan fiction that we were all part of. Where do you weigh in on this one?
What do you mean?
Well,
what do I weigh in on what exactly?
Okay, so where do you feel about basically content creators who, like, say, whether it be a fan fiction, an art piece, where do you draw the line for you?
Well, there's clearly, I think there's a distinction between LOL, I'm memeing, bro, and sincere interest in something.
Okay.
Although you could make the argument that the LOL, I'm memeing, bro is aiding to proliferate certain ideas or certain things that perhaps you don't want proliferated. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm pretty libertarian on this sort of topic. I mean, insofar as Creepy is concerned in his server, I mean, I just listened to what Leo and Patch said, and if I were Creepy, I would have responded with, well, frankly, whatever these people do in my server, and whether or not they proclaim to be in my community or not, I don't care. I'm just a YouTuber. They can do whatever they want.
Well, yeah.
I'm not interested in any of it.
I do have another point there. Creepy doesn't allow any kind of Rule 34 pornography in his server at all. So
well, now he doesn't.
Yeah, he added
The
that
original-
rule in around March 25th.
He
So-
added that rule in after he was confronted by Leo.
Mhm.
Well, I wouldn't even say it was confronted. All I did was tap him on the shoulder, like, "Hey, stuff's going on your server, dude. Might want to look at it."
Yeah.
Yeah, and considering that Discord's kind of cracking down on that, by the way, I'm keeping an eye on freaking their transparency report. Yeah, coming out sometime in April.
That hasn't been released yet. It should be out sometime in the next couple weeks, though.
Yeah, Farlito said probably by the end of the month, which I'm
probably gonna do a video analyzing it since I did that podcast about the whole,
Oh yeah.
all the Foxes shit.
I'm waiting to see if anything's retracted. That ought to be interesting. I lost my train of thought. Leo, you were saying?
Again, my ultimately, when I first came up, I just wanted to have a chat with Creepy about his viewpoint here, and then then I'm like, "So you want to stream about it?" I'm like, "All right then, here we are."
Yeah, originally this was just gonna be a quick call between like the three of us, and then I'm like, "Oh no, Anthony wants to stream it," and I'm like, "What? When did this become a stream?"
I mean, it's probably gonna make good pod. But
Oh yeah, I figured. I was like, look, there's Leo seemed very, very passionate about it, and
I am.
Yeah.
I still am.
I know
I
Creepy.
want some in on that pod stuff.
I'm here for the blood, dude. Give
Yeah,
me
I
blood.
know, and Creepy's like concerned. He's like, I feel like I'm on the right page here. I don't know why this is happening. And I looked over and said, yeah, I think he's on the right page. I don't know why this is happening either.
Don't
This-
worry. Tell Creepy not to worry. I think I can do a better job defending him than he can, so it's okay. He'll be all
I
right.
was hoping on that.
Speaking of which, where is he? It's like 7:26.
Well, here, tell you what, I'll glance over. Let's see.
Tell him he doesn't have to doll himself up. We're not going to the mall.
Okay.
Tell them that the people in the future are getting tired.
Yeah, didn't he commit to a time? Isn't he wasting our time?
No,
right now?
he literally said that he'd be here. He messaged me, so he will be here shortly.
All right.
You know what? Again, we've always got to plug everyone's future projects here. I know freaking Hateful's looking forward to covering what's the jackass's name? Your defense.
Loki?
Yeah, you're covering Loki. Sheldon, what's your next pod going to be on? Since I guess we're stalling a little bit.
Well, there was this great critique video that somebody did of me and Owen shitting on Lightning Bliss's reviewer video a long time ago. So we're gonna watch that. That'll
Okay,
next
wonderful.
week.
All right,
Actually,
wonderful.
this Saturday we're gonna watch that, and then after that, I forget what we're gonna. I stream on the internet. Go watch my shit. We just laugh at retards.
Yep, Shelly D's covering me. Good stuff.
And then,
Real quick. Hold up. Sorry, just real quick. Just call me Glacier. We actually talked about that earlier in the stream. When we're done, go ahead and go back and listen to it. Go ahead, Patch.
And Leo and I are actually currently. Well, I'm doing the majority of the project, but Leo and I recorded a podcast for my Serious Talk series about a retrospective on the Toon Critic incident, how he was able to come back, and the best methods to prevent something like Toon happening in your own communities out there in the world.
You got me really interested in your opinion on something. You may or may not like this one. I think you will, though. What are your thoughts on the Looney Turtles "This Is Getting Old" discussion on Toon Critic?
I think he's a pussy.
Oh God! Oh God bless Patchwork Heart.
By the way, I want to say this because I don't think I've said this publicly yet on a stream. So I I almost roped Toon Critic recently into doing a stream with me.
Yeah.
Where I told him, man, this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to clear your name, to be the good guy. You're going to get your story out there, your side of the story that you deserve. And he was totally gung-ho about it. And then he pushed out, him and his friend.
You know what's funny about that? I
Rip.
guarantee, even if you softballed him, I think the facts would speak for themselves. I don't think there's any way to fucking clean his shit up. But
Well, there isn't. I just wanted to get him on a stream and laugh at him.
Right.
The
No, and I-
explanation that he gave about, like, harassing this fucking kid is, I have clinical depression, and I was so sad and lonely.
Patch, you don't understand. It was cartoons, okay? It was cartoons. It wasn't me.
I remember his remarkable. I'm a furry, and I was like, oh, was he really trying to tip us off ahead of time about all the weird shit over there? I'm not
Like-
talking. Yeah, go ahead.
Even just the D&D podcast and the way he behaved on there is identical to how he really is.
Whenever I brought up the Crescendo Galaxy thing, it was what the fuck ever. I don't know if I'm never looking around going. Really?
Is this how Toon Critic used to flirt with you, Patch? He'd go,
Hi, pretty lady. Can I see your titties, please?
Okay, yes! No, you don't that is how he would approach me. He'd be like, hey, Patch, your Twitter profile picture looks really good. You want to send me something with a little bit less on there?" And I was like, "No, you do not know. These are mine."
This guy does not know subtlety. Holy shit.
Yeah, I remember when he got busted by not Painted Patience, Kelly Mink, and he's sitting there crying it out in DMs, and freaking goddamn, he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm such a Mac Daddy," and I'm like, I could think of better words.
The fuck is a Mac Daddy?
Oh, that's boomer speak for somebody
who eats McDonald's too much.
No, that's boomer speak. I understand it, Anthony. It's okay.
Okay.
Supersize me, baby.
What it means is I'm a pussy slayer, okay, baby? I'm a
Yes,
pussy
he
slayer.
thinks he's a Chad.
Yeah, basically.
Nah.
I heard them fucking last night. Tee.
Oh my god. I'm
virgin
dying
Mac Daddy.
here. You're killing me.
Fucking
My
hell.
lifespan has been violently reduced.
You're welcome.
And I wanna state this too for the record. I've said it over and over again. Hey, Looney, it's possible I was wrong. You could come on here and correct me anytime.
Yeah, Looney, that dude just. There's something about him that makes me violently angry.
What was that about? Because I heard about this, but I kind of missed it.
Here's what happened. Looney has not shared a link, hasn't passed any information about the pedophiles in the community that we've all put out there, hasn't said a word about it, but the minute Anthony gets one thing wrong about where art comes from and what its purpose was, Looney makes a 2-minute, highly edited video to point out that Anthony was wrong about that.
And I already addressed that before the video was ever done. I was like, okay, I got this wrong about the following artists. I had talked to Jasper Pye, who was nice enough to come on my stream after I've shit on Jasper a lot.
So you're very open to correcting yourself if you make errors.
Well, you're going to
that's
expose that.
important.
You're going to expose.
No. Because if you say yes to that, then that means Looney's video is completely pointless, right? Because you'll just correct yourself and apologize.
Well, his point was that I don't have the time to sit through these long ass videos, so then I made a 5-minute video response to him.
When I first heard him say that, I was like, "Is he fucking talking about me in my video?"
Well, here's the thing. When I saw him in Barrel, I'm like, "Hey, Looney," and I call him out on it. He's like, "Well, you need to make it more enticing for the viewers." I'm like, you know what? Gloves are off. You, me, end call now. And we spammed him until he got in call, and then I ripped him to pieces.
Why
did.
the fuck would you need to make pedo bashing more enticing? It's pedos. Just bash them.
It is better that it's not C-SPAN. I get his point about that. Jeez. Fuck, I lost my...
Yeah, I don't disagree with Looney insofar as, for any person... Right? If you actually don't want to commit the time into gathering facts about a situation and coming to a conclusion about what happened, then fine, don't say anything about it, right? Because I wouldn't want to recommend to people to spread misinformation around, right? Like if they don't know if it's true or not, and they honestly don't have the time, because let's actually acknowledge that people are limited, right, in our time and in the things we choose to do in our life. And just because somebody doesn't want to commit a bunch of time to finding these people on the internet, I mean, I don't think that makes them bad or anything. I don't think that's necessarily wrong. I think that people just have different priorities, and they're focusing on things more proximate to their lives that matter to them.
Well, here's why that doesn't work. Sorry, go ahead.
And that's completely fair. We're not asking everyone to become a pedo hunter. We're not asking everybody to drag every single kid fucker into their servers and bash them until they cry.
I mean, that would be pretty funny, though.
Absolutely, it would be funny.
Pedo Hunter 77.
What we're asking people to do is, if you find out there's a predator in your community, whether it's an online community or in your neighborhood, let people know so they can protect themselves and each other. It's about making sure that the people that you care about are safe.
Right. So what you're saying is, if you do look into it and you do come to a conclusion, and it's the conclusion of, yeah, this guy's a pedophile or a predator, then you ought to absolutely spread that information around.
Right? No, Sheldon.
Yeah,
no, that's not the conclusion, Sheldon. The conclusion is that if you look into this and do something about it, you're a bad drama man.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. It's like I can understand not posting something even if I know that somebody's a predator. To some extent, to some fucking extent, I can understand it. But when it's extremely overwhelming, like here's an example of where I can understand where it's fine if you don't post it. If literally most other people are already posting about it in a community, then it's probably it's probably not necessary. It's probably the case that people are everybody that's gonna see it will already know about it or will see it very soon.
What if what if you were close to ground zero and you were involved with the person? Do you feel that you might have a little bit?
Well, personally, I would do it.
Yeah.
I would definitely do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so here's my problem with that concerning Looney. Looney hadn't opened his mouth, hadn't said a word, hadn't concerned himself with any of this until Anthony made a mistake. And that's when Looney wants to engage. At that point, shut your mouth and sit down.
Well, there was more than that. If I went back through and I even found in his videos where he was preaching for forgiveness. Back when we used to talk about Keyblade hitting on like fucking younger people, it was it's not your responsibility, Anthony. You don't you worry yourself with this shit. I mean, you're not an admin.
And that's when you pick Looney up and you throw him off the top of BronyCon.
Well, just because it's not your responsibility doesn't mean that you can't get involved. It's not my responsibility to make sure that every single pedophile I come across is arrested. It's not my responsibility to, make sure that people get fed or make sure that people have a place to stay. But if I am given the opportunity to help someone that needs help, if I'm approached by a victim of assault, if I'm approached by a survivor of abuse like Mintheart, if I'm approached by someone who needs a place to sleep for the night or needs a hot meal, I take the opportunity to help them because it's not my job to. It's not my responsibility. But I feel a personal obligation to do it because I care about the well-being of others.
Right. It's your morality. It's your preference. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
A big problem I have here with Looney is his preference seems to be to just ignore it. And to me, that seems morally reprehensible. I'm not going to tell him he has to align himself to my morals, but I am going to criticize him.
It's certainly consistent with how he's run business for years.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to mischaracterize him. I mean, I'm not sure if his motivation is it. I don't know if it's because he doesn't care.
He sure got off his ass to throw you out of a chat when you said the N-word, Sheldon. That was where you drew
whatever.
the line.
He's a faggot for that. But I mean, what if Looney's motivation here is, an opportunity to shit on Anthony? Perfect. Well, that's not related to him not caring about predators. That's just him wanting to shit on Anthony. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying I'm not sure of his motivation there, so I can't really comment.
Well, and that's a perfectly fair statement. I'm not sure of all of Looney's motivations either, but I do think him not getting involved and not trying to reach out and keep his community safe is a bit cowardly.
Well, I had to reach out to Looney after we had that back and forth about maps post. Like he was showing the Zephyr OC, the different, Alt OC accounts that Toon was using, and he's like, do we even know that that Isaac made these art pieces? Like, do you even know that? And so after I had my back and forth with him, I had to reach out to him on Discord and be like, okay, so what do you have? And he gave me those links and those screenshots to those other artists. I've tried to reach out to those artists and be like, hey, have they commissioned anything else from you, or do you know of any other artists? And to which I've gotten very little back in return. But I mean, I don't really know Looney that well, but I still appreciate him giving me that information.
I just want to say for the chat, we're waiting on creepy reading right now, so we're not. If you're wondering why we're not into the topic, that is why.
Okay.
He's 20 minutes late.
Well, I'd say Looney's tangentially related to freaking.
I guess, sure.
Yeah.
It's not the main topic.
No.
I played Mario. I like jumping on turtles.
Look, and you know what? I'll say that right now. I feel like it was within the realm of possibility, or I'll just say it, that I pressured Luximus to make the picture of Lilac stomping on Looney. I don't think I paid more, but I waited until she was probably busted for money. I know that's a big difference between whatever Patch was doing. Just to put that out there, full transparency.
I think we can all conclude that Looney is a big gay faggot lord, and no one likes him. So there you go.
I also noticed that too. I don't have all this time. Like here's my example where I screwed up with somebody who had a shit ton of content on a subject. Brooke has done 3 videos, which if you put them together, I think they're about 2 hours. It's basically a movie trilogy on Spockter Theory. The fact that I didn't look it through is my fault, Looney. It's not the fact that they should have accommodated for my attention deficit. No, that's me. I fucked up. That's all
Yes,
there
but
is.
will it be retconned in the prequels? Is the question.
But it's
Honey-
here's the thing that confuses me. You said that he called you out for getting information wrong and saying that the way you present it is not entertaining.
Okay.
I mean, the way someone finds someone's presentation of the material is purely subjective.
Yeah.
But you clearly made the stance that Isaac didn't make those art pieces, but you did make the point that he did other pieces that Toon was using in the screenshots we were given.
Yeah.
So I don't really see where that point lies then.
And to mention Honey Drop here is on the thing here. We're supposed to be talking about lolicon, and it's supposed to be in part 2, that creepy reading. But we're waiting for Creepy to show up here. God bless him. He'll be here shortly. But in the meantime, we're just discussing other people like the Looney Turtle right now. Because Lord knows I certainly have a wonderful past with the Looney Turtle, and he has a past with me too.
Don't worry, Anthony. I'll mirror the stream and get to the part where we get to the bloodbath.
Anyone who's ever, like, even looked in the brony community's direction has a past with you, though. Like,
You know what? I try and get along with people, believe it or not. I've had certain people bitch at me for fucking getting along with too many damn people.
I mean, that doesn't mean you don't have a past.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can judge that as a positive or negative.
Here's some deep lore. Here's some deep lore.
Ooh,
If it wasn't for me, Anthony wouldn't exist. Boom.
I thought.
Well,
Are you
technically,
Father?
technically, Knickers brought me into your room, so we'll go with that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I always
God
everybody
damn it! It was all Nicole's fault.
I thought Vita claimed responsibility
for turning
getting
me into an
Anthony
asshole.
drama.
Maybe. Maybe. Well, I think I was always kind of a dick. It was just me being able
You were
to.
kind of a dick. We were both kind of dicks. You know, that's why.
Yeah, we certainly grew out of that
Man,
hole.
hurry up and touch tips already, Jesus.
Oh Jesus.
Fuck
Kinda.
you.
Kinda. Yeah.
So Anthony, you're not going to BronyCon? What is this?
Okay,
What?
so I thought I've made it abundantly clear, Sheldon. I'm booked for Babs.
Oh, so you can't afford 2 conventions, basically.
Well, I went to Windy just recently, so I can't go to 2 major.
That's local, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did have to. I went and bought the hotel room so I could hang out and get drunk over there. Ran into Roar's Memeing and fucking Theo. And,
Oh, did you?
And Box.
Yeah.
Box was there. Fucking yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys talk?
Yeah, I fucking gave Box a shot of mead, and I gave one to Theo and Roar, and I drank up
Oh, nice.
Rum Island
Nice.
with fucking Roar the whole time, and he was sitting there bullshitting back and
Cool.
forth.
Hey, apparently the PFC they bought a house and they live together now.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have I created? Oh my god.
I don't know, but you should repent for it.
I'm
I
told.
should.
I'm told Fatty's stuck off in New Jersey somewhere or some shit like that.
Wait, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
I didn't realize how fucking down to earth and normal Box looks when he takes the goddamn cardboard box
I
off.
know, right?
Oh, holy
I
shit.
know.
The Pony Fuck Cast reunion at BronyCon 2019.
Yeah.
Got to make that a panel.
Absolutely.
Sheldon.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Just
happen.
first, you got to smuggle yourself into the country.
Yeah, I'm gonna hide in a trunk with cocaine, like somebody mentions earlier in Barrel.
I
Yeah.
figured somebody would just shove them up your butt.
Eh. You know what? If I thought that you'd be good for the money, I'd bet you whether you get over that border or not this time, Sheldon.
Look, man. As much as I love anal sex,
Okay.
I'm not into that. Okay.
No, I just
Alright,
meant like whether
Sex,
you
I'm
can
back.
make the con this year. Oh, who is it? Hateful or?
Of course, this guy pipes
Coyote.
up when somebody mentions
Oh.
anal sex. the furries.
Hi, yeah, Coyote Lovely was booked for this. I'll have to add him to
Way
the-
to blast the stereos, Sheldon.
Yeah. So yeah, this is Coyote Lovely. He's from the furry fandom. Really cool guy. Did you want to chime in at all about the Loli discussion? What are your thoughts about it? Oh, here's creepy. Hey, why is the stream chat so large? Pop
cares? Who
because
gives a
it's
shit?
on
Get
his
in the
main
call.
channel.
the call. The
Because you
stream.
touch yourself at night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Leo, I just wanted to say preemptively that I was going to ask both you and Creepy your definitions of art. Just so that there's no,
Wait,
there's just
definition
pure-
of art.
Yeah, what your definition of art is.
This isn't about art. It's about drawings
It's
of
part.
kids.
It's part of. Yes, I know. Right.
No.
It's part of the argument.
It is part of the argument if you're arguing from
Being
free
for-
artistic expression, right?
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
what anyone's arguing from, I don't think.
Yeah,
Well,
but
we'll see what
lolicon
happens.
is still a form of art.
Well, we can save that for when Creepy Ashley hops on.
Yeah.
Not according to Rika Fag. Or wait, according to Rika Fag.
Well,
yeah.
according to Rika Fag, it's
Yeah.
transformative.
Okay, so he's saying the tension's a little high.
Tension.
There's no tension
What?
here. We're just
What?
chilling.
What?
Playing around, man.
Okay, all right,
Tension?
all right,
What
all
are
right.
you
I love that creepy reading. So hateful. Would you be horribly depressed if I said you and Kaio like go for a walk? God bless both of you.
Why would he not want me in here?
I'm picking two people out of the blue to appease Senpai.
Listen, I can bail if he really wants.
No, I know you're going to be cool. That's why I want you to stay, Sheldon.
Well, I mean, okay, who is? I figured if anybody, he'd be worried about me being in the chat, but that'd be kind of counterintuitive to what we're doing here.
Yeah, I'm
just
know.
going to be moderating.
Like, I mean, we're really just chilling and having a good time. We're not really even getting intense.
By the way, the only reason why I'd say I'd be willing to is because I have no problem smoking weed instead. So, you know.
Yeah, I'll get out of here if you need me to.
Okay, yeah.
Like, creepy,
Catch you
none of
later.
us want to, like, tear you asunder. We just want to have a simple, like, chat about your server and your moral.
Creepy, you have to understand. I'm here to... I don't know how to explain this. It's like,
He's here to defend you better than you're probably defending yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I can definitely defend you really
Hi,
well,
Creepy.
so don't worry.
Okay.
Glad you could join us.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a pretty civil chat. I've already... Once again, the common sense has persevered between I and Patchwork Heart. We're 2 for 2. The stupidity maybe the third time. Maybe my turn to get screwed up and yelled at then. Probably, yeah. But who wants to take this away? Yeah, you know what, Leo, you've got it.
First, I want to make sure Creepy's mic is working. I haven't heard from him since he hopped in.
All right, I'm back.
All right.
Oh, okay.
What was that noise?
So 46 minute
how I answer
timestamp. That's when
my
Creepy
calls.
gets here. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Creepy, you operate on doctor time. Okay, so my viewpoint here is that I believe that lolicon, again, gonna have to define this as drawn pornography of underage characters and people that jack off to it is a subset of pedophilia. I believe that one enables it and one is a perpetrator of it, one way or another. I'm arguing more from a moral position than I am from a legal one. The legal question's been asked. We can double back on that if we need to. And again, I want to make this very clear going forward. All I asked was just a conversation with Creepy. I did not expect to take him into the center square and behead him. None of that.
Well, he showed some concern, and I was willing to fucking stick up for a friend, and that's why.
I
And make some money
heard.
on the side.
Yeah.
I heard all about that. Trust me.
Okay.
Hashtag bloodshed.
Okay.
right,
I'm going to challenge your definition here a little bit.
Go for it.
Literally, almost every anime character falls into that category.
No, I can name a fairly large amount.
No, I'm gonna let.
Yeah, let Leo and Creepy go back and
I'm
forth.
gonna let you go ahead and give me your list here.
For example, Gurren Lagann, that one girl who everyone jerks off to, who is drawn like a fully adult woman, is actually 14
you're
years
referring
old.
to Yoko. You're referring to Yoko. Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
14.
there's
She's
a lot
14.
of characters in anime that fit that your definition that I wouldn't classify as childlike or looking like a child. So
Is it pornographic of an underage character?
I mean, on paper, yeah, but it's like
Well,
the
then-
reverse argument
No,
of she's
is it?
over
No.
2,000 years old.
Is it a picture of a little girl getting fucked by a grown man?
Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Because
Is the
they're-
14-year-old girl sexualized? Is what I think Creepy is trying to get the point across
if
here.
the 14-year-old girl is drawn like an adult, is she actually a 14-year-old girl?
I'd say yes.
Yes.
All right. Here's my question.
Okay, let me respond to this now. Okay, but what are you guys defining as pedophilia exactly? Because this is important.
Attraction to someone who is a minor and attraction to the fact that that person is a minor.
Right.
'cause
Okay.
now we're not doing
But
lolicon.
no. Yeah, but
Yeah,
hold on a
they're
second
the
here,
creepy
right?
best
Because we have to understand. I mean, age is part of the criteria that because age is basically correlated with sexual characteristics, right? And you have to understand. Yeah, you have to understand that when it comes to sexual attraction mechanisms, a lot, especially for men, a lot of these things are determined by visual cues of the form of a body primarily. So if you have somebody who is 14, right, but actually has matured sexual characteristics, can you really call that pedophilia? Is that a fair representation?
I think you can because you were sexually attracted to a minor.
If you're okay, but we're not talking about real life. We're talking about animation and drawings where the artists can draw a fucking 12-year-old to look like a 30-year-old.
Do you know what lolicon is in and of itself? It's not pictures of a 14-year-old who has the body of a 30-year-old.
Exactly.
It's pictures of flat-chested, like,
I know it's
nine-year-old.
lolicon. That's why I challenged Leo, because he described literally anyone under the age of 18.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of anime characters who don't.
Yeah, and that is my standard, without question.
Yeah, here's the whole gist. I think most of us would be in agreement about, if you're jerking off to like literally like 5 or 10-year-olds, that's all kinds of wrong. But from what I heard, Leo, you were saying that somebody said that their waifu was Raven from Teen Titans.
Yep.
That's like it. Depending on which source that is.
Well, considering the person was citing Teen Titans Raven from the cartoon Teen Titans.
Yeah. I'm hearing two arguments here. So I heard Patch say kids for Loli. Leo, are you asserting...
kids and teenagers, because teenagers can be just as flat as a 9-year-old.
Sure, that's fine, but what if I reverse this and say, here's an old grandma-looking character, but in canon she's 8. Is this lolicon?
I'd ask if it was Benjamin Button first and foremost.
Let's say she's naked and getting fucked. Is this lolicon?
I'd say based on age, yes.
I mean, you can do this. You can hold age as the primary determiner, but I think you're missing the picture here. I think you're missing other facts about how attraction works in people. That because it's not just age, right? We have to acknowledge this. It is not just age. I mean, age itself is arbitrary in a sense, right?
One thing I just want to be clear
age is arbitrary and sexual.
Let creepy talk.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that if we're gonna make an argument here or a debate in any formal matter, we all need to be in agreement on what's actually being debated.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Are we debating lolicon, or are we debating anyone who has been labeled under the age of 18 in fictional media?
I could argue both.
So
again,
if we're arguing
arguing
the latter, then we can argue the latter. But just keep in mind that we got to make sure our terms are set so people don't.
First and foremost, let's go ahead and discuss what brought this about. You have people from Barrel giving some people in your server a hard time, and a couple of them came out as talking about how they're into lolicon. Now, you are to be commended for making a rule about things like that not being discussed. I will give you that without question. I hand that to you on a silver platter. However, my point of contention in this would be when you have people who out there and say they are attracted to loli pornography, my value system would eject those people immediately based on that, especially when you have a server that primarily has children in it. That's my viewpoint. What are your thoughts?
My demographic is mostly 17 to 25.
Okay, I was under the impression it was children for some reason.
Hang on, Leo. Can you give us a copy of your analytics from your channel settings or channel analytics?
He's asking you, creepy, not me.
I'm not comfortable sharing my channel analytics.
That's fine.
Yeah, that was a good move. I'd go with that.
Well, frankly, that is very...
That's confidential. It's my business, and those are for me and my advertisers.
More importantly, let's try to argue in good faith here.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I only take the sponsorships I take, and the reason why I have those warnings at the beginning of my video, and why I'm not labeled as a family-friendly channel by YouTube. So you can't even access my channel at a school.
I have a question for Leo then.
Yo.
Let's put it this way. You're saying it's all child pornography, right?
I'm saying if the characters are underage or they have the body of a child, yes.
Okay, now here's... I know the answer if it were real life, but I'm going to say, let's say you're a 16-year-old weeaboo. Mm-hmm. You're checking out a character that is canonically 16. Mm-hmm. Are they looking at child pornography?
I would say yes.
Okay.
And here's why I can also make that statement, because even when 16-year-olds spread...
No, I know the CP thing, yeah. Theoretically, even if you had nudes of yourself when you're 16, yeah, that is child pornography. I was just curious to see what you would think about that.
That's where I stand.
Okay.
Can I raise a thing here? Because I just thought of something. And what Creepy said earlier is kind of relevant because we are talking about a fictional world. And the fact of the matter is, yeah, a 12-year-old in reality, there's a consistent pattern with their development, right? But the problem with bringing this into fictional worlds is that I'm not constrained by the logical and natural properties of the world in my fictional world, right? I'm not constrained by that.
That's not exactly true.
Why not?
Sexual development is different for all people, regardless of gender. I know
Right.
people.
Well,
I know people who had who developed C-cup breasts, like a 32C at age 13, and
No. You misheard me. I said there's a pattern. I didn't say it's literally the same for everybody, right? I said there's a trend you can measure.
There's a trend that has outliers in it.
Yes, exactly. There's a bell curve,
that's fair.
right?
I suppose that's fair.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that in my fictional world, I'm not necessarily constrained to that bell curve, to that trend, right? I'm not, because I can make up whatever the fuck I want in my fictional world, right? I can make any rule I want.
But the question is, why would you want one of your rules to be it's okay to put my dick in this 13-year-old?
Yeah, right.
Just because she has breasts and wide hips.
But that's not the rule. What I'm talking about is our previous example with Yoko, right? Mm-hmm. As a creator, right? I can create a character where I say, canonically, this character is 14, and you can question the motives of the creator, and you can question the motives of the people consuming pornographic material of it. But if I'm also creating that character from the point of, yeah, she's 14, but also I'm going to put on these sexual characteristics that appear to be more present in 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds than on 14-year-olds. I mean, I think we have to acknowledge that it's not as simple as appealing to our reality and saying, well, it's clearly this or it's clearly that, right? What it really comes down to is what's the author's intent, and we can actually measure this character's characteristics. We can look at it, we can observe it, we can go, okay, well, she has these giant fucking titties, and she has, this clearly developed hourglass figure, and she has this kind of waist-hip ratio that you don't see in regular 14-year-olds, right? That's what I'm appealing to here, right? The fact that an author can make those decisions even if they're inconsistent with our reality, right?
But our criticisms are not on the author. Our criticisms are on the people who look at those features and then see, oh no, wait, this character is 14, and yet still continue to masturbate to porn of her anyway.
Right.
My biggest issue with your argument is that I feel like it's logically inconsistent, because if you're going to make the claim that it doesn't matter what they look like, all that matters is their canonical age within their given media, then you have to say that the reverse is true. I can draw someone who looks like a fucking 8-year-old, and I can draw them getting fucked. But as long as I say they're over 2,000 years old, it's not child porn.
Yeah, there's no, Patch, you're being a little bit inconsistent there.
Hold on.
I'm not being inconsistent.
Hold on. Let me move this over to the different realm here. Let's talk about
There are
reality.
adults that look like children too.
Hold
so
on. Hold on. Let's use that example then, creepy. If you wind up in bed with somebody who looks like they're physically 25 and you find out they're 14, are you a pedophile according to U.S. law?
No, because if they haven't disclosed that, then there is reasonable assume. As long as you can prove that you asked the right questions, and
there's a problem with your statement. No. There's a problem. There's a problem, Leo. You said a pedophile according to the law.
Okay, I apologize. That was a misspeak. Clearly, because there is no pedophilia thing. Well, you are still a sex offender. But would you consider it pedophilia?
It depends. I wouldn't really like it. Just. Like
it depends on the person's.
Circumstances.
It depends. Was the person aroused by the fact that this is a child and got off to it? If that's the case, then yes, they would be a pedophile.
But I mean, if I went to a fucking bar and they had to show a fake ID to get in, and I ended up fucking someone who wasn't over the age of 18, does that make me a pedophile for assuming that everyone, for assuming that?
Well, no, hold on. Let me answer that one. Would you legally be on the hook for that? Yes, actually, no, I've taken paralegal classes. Yes, if they faked an ID and you checked it and you did all that shit, is that bullshit? Yes, that is complete bullshit. But that is the law. But is anyone arguing that point though? Yeah, if someone did all their due diligence,
I don't know who was arguing. Leo brought up.
I brought up a hypothetical here, and I use the word legally.
Right. Well, to kind of challenge this on the creepy, it would also depend. In the case if you were to fuck someone that looks of a mature age, but they actually were 14 and they tell you that, you know, it depends. Did they lie about their age before this happened? Did you bother to ask their age? And that's also applicable to the same case with Yoko. You know, it's like, do you even bother to look up how old the character
They
is?
don't really specify that hardcore in the actual fictional media itself. It's
Yeah,
something
but
that
you-
a lot
All
of
right,
people
then
learn
that's a
after
fair
the fact.
then that's a fair statement. Someone who doesn't know that she's a 14-year-old character probably isn't a loli
No,
or
but
a
90
loli fetishist.
But quite a bit of anime happens in either shonen or shoujo, and 9 times out of 10, the location is school. There is no question in that case.
Honestly, my more, you know,
18-year-olds can go to school too.
Sure they can.
Important question. My more important question about fantasy versus reality when it comes to anime like that is, where's the subtitles, bro?
My real question, my real like thing here is that when it comes to fictional media, like I said, I can draw an 8-year-old like a 30-year-old. I can draw. I can draw.
But why
can
would
al-
you
I can
want to
also
do
draw.
that? That's
Why,
that's
it doesn't
would
matter
you
why
want
you
to-
want to do it. What
Why
matters is
would
that
you-
what I'm
Hold
looking
on.
at.
Why do you
Hold on,
why do you
hold
want
on.
to produce-
Hold on.
Hang
Let
on.
him finish. Let him
You're
finish.
you're
his-
coming on guard very much here, Patchwork Heart. This is very much kind of like
It's
Leo's
fine.
"you're with us or against us"
Listen.
kind of thing.
Yeah, listen. Creepy will finish, and then Patch will go.
Yeah, like you can, like I said, you can do that. I'm not saying why you do that or why someone would want to do that. Honestly, age regression is a fucking fetish that people have, and I don't care for it. But regardless, it's something that can be done within the confines of media. I mean, sorry, fictional media. So when someone stumbles across someone who is canonically 13, 14 years old, but is literally drawn like an adult woman and attracted to that, the question you got to ask yourself is, are they attracted to the fact that they are 14, or are they attracted because they have a nice pair of tits that someone can draw to be whatever they want it to be?
Right, and it depends on.
And
whether
I don't
the
think
artist-
that, I mean, it depends. Are you getting your rocks off? Are you getting your rocks off because you're fucking a 14-year-old, or are you
Well,
getting
let
your
me-
rocks
let
off
me
because
ask
of a
you-
nice pair of tits?
Let me ask you a hypothetical in the reverse of what you were saying. If you draw an 8-year-old body for somebody who's 3,000 years old and somebody jacks off to it, do you think that person's a pedophile?
I guess it really depends on
what?
the drawing.
No,
I-
it's a
hold on,
picture of a
hold on.
flat-chested 8-year-old.
Hold on, Patch. Hold on. I said 8-year-old.
Right.
How many 8-year-olds
so
have you met that have a female adult body?
in animation and art, a lot of things are changed around and exaggerated or not exaggerated.
You're
Hold
kind
on.
of not.
Hold on.
Let me just
Let me
get to my point.
ask Leo's question in the way he clearly wants to, but is not articulating it well
Apparently.
enough. Creepy. If I were to draw a picture of a character, and let's say that if I were to show you that character, in your brain personally, you would think that that character looks like a drawn 8-year-old character, right? It would just be your interpretation of it. You would look at it and you would recognize that as an 8-year-old in your view, and that is pornographic, and it is of the anime art style, and it is what we would call lolicon. And if somebody were to jerk off to that, would they be engaging in a pedophilic act, in your view?
Okay, you mentioned one key point there that I was trying to elaborate on, and that's the anime art style. Anime
Yeah.
characters do not look like fucking humans. They really don't. They have certain aspects
What?
of.
Well, hold on. When you look at an anime character, do you think that they're essentially a human, right? I mean, you look at them and you see them, and well, they have 2 eyes and they have 2 ears and they stand upright
They
and
vaguely
they have
resemble
facial
one.
expressions like humans do. I mean, you can understand their facial expressions, right?
Yeah,
so clearly,
but when you draw an 8-year-old in the anime art style with the big ass fucking eyes and the head, they more resemble a mutant. There are
Okay.
aspects that 8-year-olds
Hold
have
on.
in real life that are not
Okay,
portrayed in
I
anime.
want to
Hold on,
pop in
guys.
on that one really quick. You gave me an example there. So we basically said that if you like a character that's canonically old. I remember growing up being a kid, watching the old X-Men and reading the comic. I think Rouge, I found out later on, was like a teen.
You mean Rogue?
Rogue, yeah.
Yeah,
She
but
looked
you
like a
didn't
woman
know
to me
that.
when I was a kid.
well,
Right, but
creepy.
you didn't know that.
All right.
Well, I hold on. I want to get an acknowledgement here at some point. I mean, creepy. I want you to imagine an 8-year-old for me, a real one. Can you do that? You can.
I'm imagining some kid probably with like some snot rolling down their face.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Now I want you to imagine that in an anime style. Okay, if somebody drew that in an anime style, can you do that for me?
I mean, not really. I haven't really seen any.
What?
Creepy.
What do you mean?
Okay, hold on.
Look in the voice text chat. I have posted a safe for work image of an incredibly drowsy child in anime style. She does not look like an adult in any way. Does she?
I wouldn't even like her facial features. I mean, don't get me wrong. She has aspects of a child. I agree.
Hold on. I
agree
see
with
where Creepy's going with this. Question for you, Creepy. You like a Gretzko, right?
that. Right.
You think she's a strong woman?
Yeah.
So you identify that she is made to be a woman.
Correct.
Woman being a phrase you use for a human being.
I mean, personality-wise, she's written like a human being. Yes.
My point is, you can identify that these are in fact human beings and very human characters.
Let's
they may have a different art style.
I also want to say something here. I have a friend who has that kind of body type in real life. Short, flat-chested, and a very childlike demeanor. But she's like 25. I mean, I'm not. Again, I'm just saying, when you put that face on that body does not necessarily say it is a child, although it has childlike aspects to it.
Right.
I'm just saying that there are people who are attracted to flat-chested women, and maybe not attracted to an 8-year-old's face, and that's not a fucking 8-year-old's face. I don't care how stylized you want to make it.
What type of face is that? Because it's not an adult woman's face either.
All anime faces look like that.
All of them do.
Okay.
You know better.
Oh, all right.
You know
Look. I think
face.
you're being pedantic, because here's the whole thing. All he would have had to say is, okay, fine. Picture a child. I'm picturing Shin-chan. Now, who would sit there and find anything sexual from that god awful, gawky-looking art style?
You'd be horribly surprised, and I don't think you want the actual.
Okay. Well, let's
It's
move
stick
this
figures.
along.
I wouldn't be that surprised.
I do want to address the whole all anime faces look the same thing. That 8-year-old does not look anything like this 24-year-old. They do not look anything alike.
It's a different art style.
Yeah,
it's a different art
point.
style, but there's a distinction made between children and adults
Well,
in most anime. Is that
if you're going to
go
make-
Pat?
For the audience, they're showing the chick from Hellsing, the 30-year-old Gunguru girl, whatever her name is.
Wait, that's a chick.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's a chick.
Yeah, no, she has.
It is a girl, but I thought it was a dude when I
22.
watched it.
Right?
And like, here's the same girl at age 8. Their faces are very different when she's a child.
No, they
like,
look pretty similar.
When she's a
You
child,
could
their
see all the
faces
joy's
are
been sucked
rounder.
out of her by the time she's 30. Look, man. Just...
Yeah, like the only difference I'm seeing here is
Okay,
like the
creepy.
difference between expression.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Would you acknowledge that these are representations of human being instead of human beings? Okay, great. Cool. There, we've moved on. We've solved the fucking problem.
look, calm down, creepy. There's literally nothing that you've said that's going to destroy you. You're good. I just want to let you know in case you're paranoid or something like that. We all love you.
No, yeah,
Well,
dude,
there's nothing to destroy him about.
Okay.
there's nothing morally reprehensible about like you saying that some people do stupid shit. Like someone who doesn't know that someone's a child might jerk off to porn of a character they didn't know was a kid.
Also, another counterpoint here to that argument. Yeah, there's definite differences.
Those have a very distinct art style though, but in most generic anime, they have a very similar one. Now you're bringing up very extreme examples from one person who's making a very detailed, close to human.
I was just about to look up Rogue, and then I was like, you know what? That's probably not good on search engine on live stream to come up with...
No.
Can you list off real quick?
But I can safely say the 1990s Rogue isn't meant to fucking be pedo bait, from what I remember.
Sure,
Am I going out on a limb there, Leo? As you are an avid comic book nerd, can we agree on that?
I would say no.
Okay, but what canonical? Here, I'll look, see if I can even find that.
Yeah, Creepy. I know this is a stupid question to ask, but like, give me a generic anime, and I'll.
My
find
Hero
a
Academia.
distinction. All right, I'll find an example. Hang on.
Well, a majority of the characters in My Hero Academia are kids, though.
Yeah, I know, but they're drawn like fucking adults.
Not really.
The girl characters?
The girl characters,
of them, yeah.
I mean,
A couple of them, yeah.
A lot of them are drawn more closer to an adult's anatomy than they are to a child's anatomy.
Not compared to the other adults on the show.
The other adults
Like-
on the show are drawn to the point where it's almost fucking ridiculous. If by that
Okay,
standard
so
you think that...
Do you think Froppy looks like a fucking grown woman? Do you really think she looks like a grown woman? She's 15. She has a relatively flat chest, minimal curves. She has a very round, childish face. She looks like a middle schooler, which is what she is. A majority of the I'm looking at the lineup for the main heroes of this show, and there is one girl in this lineup who looks like a grown woman other than Miss Mountain.
Sure. Right. So here, this is the point I'm trying to make. Creepy is that in real life, you know, the physical features between a boy and a girl are very, you know, similar. And then when they become more older and develop, there's a distinction in the shape of their face. For men, it's more like they have a more squared face, and for women, it's more of a V-shaped face. I mean, it's a little bit hard in anime because, you know, more adults, you know, facial features are very similar. One for, you know, simplicity, you know, just ease of character design and whatnot.
Well, Hateful,
but,
can I ask you a
it's
quick
just
question
like-
about that? If they have that specific V-shaped adult characteristic on the character, then it shouldn't matter what the character's age if that's the case. If this is basically, here's proof it's an adult.
Well, here's the thing. It's like you look at Midoriya in the chat as a kid. This is more rounder, and you know the kids in, you know, being portrayed in the anime have that round facial feature, and then you have, you know, him as, you know, a teenager, you know, a developing teenager, and you see the distinction in the facial features.
He's telling you that there are different telltale signs based on the facial structures of how this artist draws these characters that depicts their age.
Like there
Right.
is one main character
I am
hero
going to
in that-
concede to you though that like My Hero Academia, when they do kids, like they actually do go like an extra mile to make kids look like kids.
Well, I got
They
a question
are-
for you, Creepy. Will you go the extra mile and you know, get huge like All Might is?
Wait, what?
He's memeing on you.
Dead
Oh, I
fucking
get it.
silence. Great
got it.
joke, Leo.
I wasn't joking. Everybody should be huge.
I got memed. But yeah, like this is actually a good example of like if more anime did like what My Hero Academia does to their children, where they look where their proportions are a bit closer to a actual fucking child's, and they like have them like, you know, like I said, you know, if you ever see My Hero Academia, you know that Midoriya as a kid basically always has snot running down his face, or is portrayed in a manner that isn't like, you know, what's, you know, like it's portrayed in a very childlike manner. And you know, if you got your rocks off the kid Midoriya, I'd probably be giving you a few fucking funny looks myself.
Yeah.
So would you
Well-
consider that pedophilia?
I feel like there's a distinct difference here between like fiction and real life. I believe that as long as what you do does not hurt anybody, no matter how much I disagree with it on a moral level, you have the right to do.
But that's
Why
not what
do
he
you-
asked.
why do you-
Hold
why
on,
do you-
stop. That's not what he asked. What did you say, Leo? Does
I
that
asked
make someone
if-
a pedophile, right?
Does that make him
was
a
the question.
pedophile? Yes.
If you, I would say it makes you a pedophile, but not in the illegal sense.
Okay,
We're
you're
not
saying it would make.
talking-
Go
Well,
ahead,
here,
Pat.
let me ask a better question
we're not
here.
talking strictly legally. We're also talking
I know.
politically and sociologically.
We're talking, yeah, psychologically.
Okay, but if you only got, okay, let's say this. What if you only got off the kid Midoriya, but not real life children?
Well, then I think.
Are you a
technically
pedophile?
I can answer that. I can
I
answer.
think-
Go
I
ahead.
mean, yeah, but you're not hurting anyone.
Well,
Who gives a shit?
you're only a pedophile. So we have to. So pedophilia is an arousal to the characteristics of a child, right? Be them physical or be them whatever else that might be. And the only way to determine if that action is because somebody is a pedophile is you would have to determine, you would have to like scientifically determine what exactly is the pathway and mechanism of action in pedophile brains when they're exposed to a material that is pedophilic, that arouses them, and see how that brain reacts in a similar way to the anime, right? That would be the only way to really determine it, right? So that would be the answer to the question. That's how you would go about it.
Yeah, I do agree that diagnostically the lines between someone who's into lolicon and someone who's into real-life pedophilia needs to be defined. But
I'm in agreement with you here that it could very much be pedophilia, but in the end, I don't think that it's harmful unless if you're harming a real person.
Well,
also in the end, you're not sure if it is pedophilia or not, correct? And I agree with you there. I agree.
Well, again, we're not. Go ahead, Patch.
Creepy, how do you know that someone just jerking off to lolicon or shotacon or whatever it is isn't damaging?
That's a slippery slope fallacy.
Which is only a fallacy in formal debate.
Didn't you argue that the exact opposite of that, Leo?
This is it's not.
No. It's not a slippery slope.
All I'm doing is asking, how do you know it doesn't harm anyone? It's not a slippery slope fallacy. I'm not saying.
How do I know it doesn't?
I'm not saying everybody who jerks off to Loli and Shotacon is going to become a sexual predator. I'm not saying that. There is actually evidence implying that the existence of this can sometimes reduce a predator's capacity to prey on children because it already feeds
that's questionable in of itself.
Yeah, which is both sides of the argument are considerably questionable.
The fact is we have no data. We have no data.
Yeah, you have no data.
That's the fact of the matter. Nobody has data. No one.
You have no data that can prove that it's not harmful, but I have no data that can prove that it's harmful. It is banned.
Why don't I apply the same analogy to a gun? I mean, if used responsibly, it could be used to save lives. But if I give it to someone who has bad intentions, it could be used to literally kill people. So should we ban all guns because some people will use it poorly?
I think that research needs to be done and data needs to be acclimated.
That's not what came across here earlier.
What you're arguing here is the limitation of speech based on the idea that someone might get hurt.
Well, I don't think I didn't hear Patch say that it should be banned.
Hold it,
I never said that it should be banned. In fact, at the beginning of this call, when I first came in, I said that it has good medical applications and that when used responsibly, lolicon can help improve lives by diagnosing people.
Can I introduce the person who just popped in? So basically, I think Leo may remember this. This is Okami. I wrongly accused them of some bullshit a long time ago. Apologize one more time. They were also the voice of reason when we were talking to, what was it, Draco Nightblade?
Alleged voice of reason.
Yes, they... Well, look, I felt that they brought a calming influence and they wanted to give their 2 cents on this, and I feel like I still owe them an apology, so yeah, I'm going to give them the platform one more time.
Before I let them speak, I just want to apologize to you, Patchwork. I haven't been given a lot of background in all of this stuff, and I didn't get to hear your opinion, so I'm sorry for wrongly accusing you of that. I guess that was presumptuous of me, just based on the information I got.
No, it's fine.
You're
I
all
understand.
right, dude.
I forgive you.
This is a rather intense subject to talk about.
Oh yeah,
I understand that you're getting intense. It's a very.
No, I mean I'm not intense at all. It's just like I gotta be very careful of how I word myself here because if I say it in the wrong way.
I think we can all admit this is better than the Rags podcast.
You're fine, dude.
We don't have a bunch of lolly lovers spamming the chat because we make them mad.
Yeah, I had to ban the conversation topic.
I just want to make something clear.
Transformative stream.
I just want to make something clear because Noria Raven says in the chat, the problem is that you guys are dancing around what you guys are dancing. The problem that you guys are dancing around is the fact that there are adult men who are getting off to the images of young children, aka prepubescent children. You need to come back to that. I mean, we all acknowledge this. We're not dancing around anything, and I reject your claim that we are.
No one is ignoring the fact that there are not just adult men, but people of all genders who are attracted to children and get off to images of children.
Absolutely.
And that is morally reprehensible, and it is something that they need to look into getting treated. If you have an attraction to children, and you have not harmed a child yet, there is still a chance that you can get better and get treatment. There are pills you can take that reduce the severity of your libido in regards to your attraction to children. And if you suffer from these problems, do not feed it by getting into lolicon or shotacon or child porn. Instead, get treatment.
Correct.
My problem lies when people, when people actively endorse people who have this clinical, problem feeding into their habits, into their libido, using images of children being raped.
Another option is kill yourself swiftly and quickly.
Well, here's the other thing. You keep talking about
I
this
don't
like
advocate suicide.
Yeah, no thoughts and opinions. We don't advocate on this channel. But the other thought about that is you're assuming that basically everybody out there who's into the wrong kind of hentai is going to do that for life. That there has to be this medical fucking.
I don't assume that. I'm stating people who do suffer from the medical problem itself. I also acknowledge that there are people who are attracted to abusing children because of an intrinsic need to feel powerful.
Okay, so wait, no, well, hold it here. So your two options that you're giving here is that people who watch lolicon are either pedophiles or in the need of abusing children. Was that what you were saying?
No. Saying people that are attracted to children or people who engage in the act of masturbating to child porn.
So my question here is, all right, so are you insinuating that literally anyone who's into lolicon couldn't kick the habit entirely on their own?
No, they can if they have the willpower for it.
It's generally a better idea to.
It's a better idea.
About lolicon.
Professional help if you have an addiction to child abuse pornography.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that, Patchwork. That is something like it's better to get help to deal with something than.
Buttons wants to say something.
Well, no. Okami's been waiting to talk for a while, and I've said Buttons.
Oh, that's who it is. Yeah. I was like, who's? I remember this voice.
Yes, this is Okami from the Draco Nightblaze call. Come ahead.
Yeah, hi. So, are we specifically talking about Loli, or are we talking about actual child porn? Because the way
we're talking about Loli.
We're talking about Loli, and Leo and Patch are asserting that it's 1v1.
Okay.
I assert on a moral level that it is not very different from child porn, because I don't care if the person who looks like an 8-year-old is 10,000 years old. It looks like an 8-year-old.
I personally.
That's not moral. That's
hang on, Buttons. Let Shio say what she wants to say and make her point.
It's fine. I'm not worried about it.
She was asking her point of view, and she gave it.
Yeah, it was just. I think they're very different, in my personal opinion. If we're going to compare the two, loli or artistic child porn, to actual child pornography, I think there's a huge gap between those two.
What's the differential in your opinion?
You jumped in. Let her have it.
In my opinion, I don't think we should condemn or try to condemn somebody who hasn't actually committed the act just because they look at a certain type of artwork.
Where did I say that I was condemning them? I simply said that if you struggle with an attraction to children, whether it be digital or real children, you should look into getting help. If you think that you can't handle it yourself, if you think you're not in control, you should get help.
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't saying you specifically were condemning. It's just everyone's like, oh, if you watch this, then you're a pedophile. Oh, if you jerk off to this, then you're a pedophile. That's very quick to jump to conclusions there.
Right, and here's the thing.
Well, hold on. Let's go back.
Hang on, Sheldon. Let me make my point.
We're getting a bit off topic. But
I know we're getting a bit off topic. Well, the big distinction between actual child porn and lolicon is that no real child. Unless we were able to prove this in like a courtroom, that no child was harmed in the making of that content. That's the big difference between the two.
On a very literal level, no, children aren't usually harmed by the creation or existence of lolicon, but I do think that it does normalize the sexualization of children.
Okay, well, let me interject here, and you asked Sus a question, and I'm going to respond for Sus to Patchwork, and I'm going to say, well, lolicon is not real child porn in the sense of, well, the law of identity, right? So real child pornography is literally not a drawing, right? So there is a distinction to be made between these two things. A is not B, A is A, and B is B.
That's a fair distinction. I'll concede to that.
Okay.
They have similar qualities, but you know they're not.
Yeah,
the same
there's
thing.
overlap. There's overlap.
They're an interpretation of reality. That's like
Yeah,
why I'm saying
like,
that the definition of art, or whatever your subjective definition of art is kind of important.
Well, I could give you an example of, you know, basically the difference between draw and what have you. One time where I was screen sharing with buttons, I clicked over to Twitter, and what's that crazy bitch who got thrown off? Laura Loomer or whatever. We saw, like, whenever she posted a link of someone getting their head sawed off. I could see a decapitation drawn. It's a whole different matter to see the real deal right in front of you. You know, there's definitely a distinction of seeing it when it's, you know, okay, you can tell yourself that's not real.
I love my gory cartoons, and I love my gory action flicks, but do I want to see someone in real life get fucking decapitated?
Just so we're clear here, I want to get a poll of everybody here. Do we all acknowledge that, you know, somebody consuming lolicon for a sexual purpose, it can tell me something about your preferences, and that thing could be that you're a pedophile, essentially. Though you might have pedophilic preferences, but it doesn't necessarily tell me that.
When you say can, you can literally do that with virtually everything. So yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah. Before
well, Anthony, it's better than random, isn't it?
No, I got it. No, absolutely.
Right.
Like, look,
Yeah.
you asked me this before in a previous thing. We're like, oh, I wouldn't be opposed to the government, like, keep it, which they already kind of do. Okay, you looked at this book here, you used this search engine here, and they're using that as like a guide to keep tabs on certain people.
Yeah,
okay, fine,
exactly.
so be it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Before we take this
We all
whole
agree,
road,
okay.
yeah, sure. Before we get on buttons, what's your point?
Gotta unmute yourself, buttons.
Did you pop in the call after I said
I think the pneumonia finally killed her.
Okay, yeah. I told
right.
Buttons not to join the stream. Come on now.
Okay.
All right. So hang on before. So the main problem, I mean, besides like what this content, you know, is showing, it's the numbers for me, because I know that when I was just looking into the topic of lolicon for the stream that Sheldon, Leo, and I were doing on Rika Fag's video, the numbers like on these different hentai websites were in the tens of thousands in most cases, and you know, it was just, honestly, it was very alarming to me. It's a very you know, mainstream fetish, you know, within the hentai community. I was like, wow.
Yeah, we're talking like tops of those lists, right? Like number 1 or 2, the top 10, like Shotacon and Lolicon.
Yeah, if you were to put Shota and Loli together, it would have been the number 1 category.
Some real fucking degenerates, man. Holy fuck.
At least from my perspective, it's hard for me to look at an anime character and equate it to a real life child, because, like I said, they have some attributes that are very similar, but in other attributes, they are almost aliens compared to one another.
Sure.
Right. And here's
but can you accept that maybe there are people who do see those anime kids, and in their mind it looks to them like a human child?
Yeah, but there's also people who look at guns and see themselves a way to kill people. I mean, it's it's a number of people, but
diseases work better.
It's a number of people, and you know, I don't have the details to say how many people who are into lolicon are actual pedophiles, but from my perspective, if I see a anime girl, I can rationalize it in a few different ways. Like you brought up that lolly girl, drowsy, safe for work lolly girl earlier, and I have a friend with a very similar body type to her in real life, who likes cutesy things. If I'm attracted to her, am I now a pedophile? No, she's a fucking 25-year-old adult.
Well, that's not the question. The lolicons in the anime are like actual children.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of them are drawn with, like I said, features that do not belong on children. Especially the oversimplified faces with the large eyes and, you know, like triangle chins.
Here's what Creepy's trying to say. It's not just lolicon, by the way. It's most anime. Anime characters are drawn with exaggerated neotenous features that people even men, you know,
It's a
18
principle of
18 to 20
animation.
yeah, well, 18 to 20-year-old women, and I have to talk about individual sexes here because there are sex differences between the arousal systems of these people. Although it's not all the same, obviously, but you know, there's overlap and there's ends of the bell curve and what have you. But you know, these anime characters are drawn with exaggerated neotenous features that, by all accounts, like sometimes, you know, 18 to 20-year-olds contain some of these features, right? But kids can also contain some of those features. So I guess Creepy's point here is like, well, how do you distinguish between, is it the childish features that this person is aroused by, or is it just because this is an amalgamation of many different features, some being childish, some not maybe being childish, or more tilted towards a more mature person or character? How do you distinguish what that person is being aroused by exactly? How do you know that it's the childlike features or not the childlike feature?
Exactly.
Well, I suppose it's a good point, and I can concede to the fact that you can't always prove that everyone who jerks off to Loli and Shota are a pedophile.
Some people just like inexperience, and like, you know, it's easier to find that in that sphere than it is to find that in regular hentai.
And I want to add this too for the people listening, because I'm guessing we're gonna hear about it. That's not me saying that you can't choose to not associate with somebody for whatever arbitrary reason you want.
Oh yeah, please.
If somebody is into that shit, and you think that might indicate that they're a pedo or a creep or whatever the fuck it is, you don't need a justification not to associate with them and to not include them for many of your actions or activities. You're perfectly free to do so for whatever fucking reason you want. And frankly, I would probably take the exact same position as you.
And frankly, that's what I think Creepy should do about the people in the server who were talking about how they like Loli.
Most of them have been removed from the server for breaking server rules. Like I said, I've implemented... Here's the thing with me, right? In the end, it's a fucking fetish. I don't care about it. I don't think that it by itself can hurt people. Can it say a bit about your character? For sure, and that deserves to be looked into. However, in the end, it by itself doesn't need to be restricted. It by itself isn't a thing that will by itself hurt people, and I don't believe in restricting speech based on that.
So your value.
Fair, but you're
hold
also
on, Patch, please let me talk to him for a minute. Creepy, is your value system basically based on, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody, you don't care?
If no one's getting hurt, then there is absolutely no downside to the activity.
Okay, I generally disagree with that, telling you that right now. But going forward, there is something I feel like I need to talk to you about right now. Quick question: are you afraid of me?
No.
No, let him answer.
I'm not.
Well, just because I'm in your DMs, man, don't go running to Anthony. Just talk to me like I said.
Okay, look.
Nah,
he was just venting.
Anthony, I needed some. I needed some advice because, like
did
I said,
did I corner you?
It's a sensitive topic, and like
yeah, but I didn't exactly corner you, man. I just said, hey, you want to chat about this? I wasn't even gonna press you on nothing. I just wanted to talk.
Well, for me in general, it's like this whole thing about lolis and all that stuff. It's something that I couldn't give two shits about.
I've stated this several times. We've been arguing from indifference is what I think I even put that in the description where you want to have the right to not give a crap, which is reasonable.
Like
I will take 1.5.
In my opinion, I don't think that it by itself can hurt people or be a sole factor alone in someone's character. So therefore, it's not speech that.
Well, you don't know if it's hurting people. You actually don't know that.
I wouldn't deny.
You have no reason to believe it is, but you don't know it.
Unknown.
I don't know if BDSM turns people into fucking abusers, but
right, you don't, and you wouldn't say that you did know, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that I did know, and I wouldn't like.
Yeah, you're agnostic,
about
right?
calling
you're
everybody who's in that
you're agnostic.
Let's put it this way: when someone says I wouldn't. I wouldn't let someone who's into lolicon babysit my kids. I wouldn't want someone who's into BDSM give me CPR because they might strangle me.
Well, you never know.
Sure. Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Let's cut out any potential risk, right?
Yeah, but sure. Like I was saying before, in the end, it's a fetish. I don't care about
Wow.
it. I don't want to see it
I
in my
mean-
server. I don't want to hear people talking about it. If it turns out that people who consume that fetish are hurting children, then fucking yeah, let's put a bullet in them. You know, like,
Oof.
I don't.
Hey, hop on for it, man.
Thoughts and opinions. Don't get me thrown off of
If you
YouTube.
start hurting real life people, that's where I draw the line. That's where my morality stands. If you are physically hurting someone and you go out of your way to hurt someone else, with your actions, and your actions actively restrict the freedom of will from other people, whether that be by rape, killing, theft, robbery, beatings, mental,
Tripping
like,
old
mental
ladies,
coercion.
cats and dogs living together.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're doing that shit, then yeah, I mean that's where I start restricting your freedoms and your rights to do action.
Well, I have a question. What if in the present time the action isn't hurting anybody, but what if you're actually creating a selection pressure to breed more people who might be more likely to engage in that action that might be bad? What about that?
I mean, might
When is ever your Sheldon? Let me fire back on that one. When has the John Q public ever been called upon, and has that been done effectively?
I don't know what the John Q public is.
Well, basically, your average Joe and Jay schmo, Jane and Joe six pack, has been called upon into this big brain nibba thought, and basically we've benefited as a society because of this. When has that ever happened? Come now, I want some examples.
Well, I don't get your question, so I can't.
So no, you're basically asking for fucking goddamn, your average person to sit there and come to these deep, fucking philosophical conclusions.
No, I'm just asking Creepy a question.
Okay,
that's
fine.
not what I'm doing.
What I'm gonna say here is that there's a lot of things in reality that can breed harmful behaviors and can be selection pressures for dangerous activities down the line. For example, drinking and gambling. Do I want to, ban drinking and gambling? No, like do I feel like it should be regulated in some sense?
Megan Oliver Boaton.
Yeah.
But regulation is state force against people's liberty.
I feel like people who are into lolicon probably should have their, have them actively looked into. And that's what I'm saying should happen.
Okay.
If we're going to do anything at all.
Okay.
Drinking and gambling are selective pressures that can lead to bad behavior down the line, but just because it is doesn't necessarily mean we should ban it or block it.
Well,
it just kind of creates a prohibition situation.
Real quick,
Good
Patch,
answer.
Patch actually has an interesting point here that Patch messaged me. Do you know what the definition of lolicon is?
Yeah.
Usually little girls around the age of 12 years old drawn in sexual
No,
situations.
I mean like the actual word, what it physically means in Japanese.
That it physically means is not a.
Well, you know what I mean, doggone it. Shut up, Sheldon.
What it's directly translated
Yes.
to from Japanese.
A fascination with cartoons involving very young girls.
No, the direct definition is pedophile, sexual attraction to children.
All right.
Oh, got him.
I mean, yeah, that may very well be true, but in the end, like this, for the English...
No, creepy. All you have to say is a semantic shift. I don't care.
Yeah, like for our purposes in English, lolicon refers to sexualized cartoons of children.
Yes. Well, in
sexual
what we're talking
attraction,
about right
yeah.
now, yes, we've already laid out the definition here. I don't know why we're back to it.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter what it means in Japan. What it matters is what it means colloquially between us.
Us talking right now in this conversation.
Like if I were to say,
But Leo,
if I were to call someone a convict, and
Leo,
I meant that they were a thug, does that mean I'm talking about prisoners?
Yes.
I'm not feeling the fire, the passion here, Leo. You're supposed to be mad at this guy. All right?
Okay,
come on,
okay,
give me some counter arguments, Leo. Let's go.
I'll be mad at Creepy. Creepy, you have terrible taste in anime, first and foremost. Agresco isn't really all that good. It's actually very basement.
I consider it a cartoon, not an anime.
Yeah, they're the same thing, for one thing.
Well, a distinct art style shift.
Okay, tell me what the difference between the art styles is.
The thick outlines and...
Which is also seen in Western cartoons.
It was made by different people with different genes, with different ways of drawing.
Yeah, the thick outlines is more the thick outlines and the way that it's animated is more reminiscent of 2000s Cartoon Network than it is of any recent anime you've seen. The art style is where I draw my distinct line there. I consider it more like a cartoon because, I mean, it looks like a cartoon, it acts like a cartoon, and
there's no difference. A cartoon and anime are literally the same thing.
Yeah,
Cory
but
in the
in
House is my
America,
favorite anime.
I mean, in Japan, anime just refers to animation, which refers to all animation. While in America, we refer anime to a very specific type of animation. Animation from Japan with a very specific art style.
No, we refer to it as just generally animation from Japan, not of any specific art style.
Off topic.
Well, you wanted fire, doggone it!
I just want to address Speedy in the chat. He says, could you try lowering your volume, please, Shelly D? I thought you were Josh Scorcher. Don't you fucking compare me to autists like Josh Scorcher, you bastard.
Hey, that's my friend. That's my friend.
I don't give a shit if he's your friend. You have terrible taste in friends, my friend.
He's helped me out quite a bit. He's actually a really cool dude.
He's the Supremo Gaylord.
Did he help you hide the body, Creepy?
Huh?
Pretty good. Like, we found a good spot to hide.
Yeah. You would be the one. You know what? That'd be a funny. I would watch that, and I would watch a skit where fucking Josh Scorcher shows up with a body. That sounds fucking comedy gold.
Well, I know what the next podcast is gonna be. LioConVoy and Creepy argue about what is and is not anime.
Creepy, are you in?
Creepy,
hang on. real
Defined
quick.
body.
Actually, Patch.
Yeah,
you go first.
well, I think Patch has a lot of shit to say, so let's
Go
let
ahead.
her
Yeah, go ahead.
respond.
No, this is just a small semantic thing. Creepy, you said earlier that you don't believe that lolicon should be censored, but this is about an incident specifically in your Discord server which has an explicit ban on lolicon.
They banned all porn.
They banned all porn after the incident, Patch.
No, the ban on child pornography, including Loli and Shotacon, was existent within Discord's terms of service for a considerable time now.
Well, I'm gonna.
They weren't posting lolicon; they were discussing it.
They were discussing it. They weren't posting it.
Well,
I mean,
that's not.
Oh, here comes the
He didn't believe in the
goalpost.
censorship of lolicon.
I don't believe in it, and if Discord doesn't want it on their platform, it's in their right as a private business to ban it.
I think it was just lolicon images. I don't really think they said the
I'm
ban
not
of the
saying
discussion of
lolicon.
lolicon.
No.
I was addressing his statement that he doesn't believe lolicon, as in the images themselves, should be censored.
Exactly.
And then I was addressing the Discord server in and of itself and Discord's terms of service. His answer is completely valid, and I accept it. I'm not arguing the discussion of lolicon.
Yep, and I got that too. Yeah, Discord does have a ban on it. You could potentially get your account banned if you were to do it. It's within their right as a private business to just dictate what they want and do not want on their platform. Just like how I banned the discussion of lolicon on my server because it's a heated debate. It gets into territory I don't like, and it's not conducive to good conversation when it comes to the relation of my own channel. Because do I cover lolicon on my channel? No, and I'm not like fucking Digibro who uses literal fucking naked lolly girls in their thumbnails. Like it has.
I'll have you know he's on the front line.
He's on the front lines, all right,
no,
man.
no,
You
if
show
I'm
that
gonna-
man some respect.
If I'm gonna say anything, I do feel like Digipro probably should have some disciplinary action on YouTube's end because
Just
like
YouTube.
Yeah, because he
Just
literally
YouTube.
posted a naked lolly girl as a thumbnail. Like, what the fuck? Why is
Yeah,
there no
no,
community
dude.
strike on that?
Digi's kind of skeevy.
He's a complete fucking degenerate. But
Absolutely.
No, the part that really.
I've been afraid. I've been sounding like him for a
No,
while now.
yeah, no. You mentioned there's a video from YKick where he's breaking down his thoughts on freaking Digi and Lolicon, where Digi's mentioning some fan fiction where he's mentioning railing some underage girl, and all his friends are like cringing. Yeah, he doesn't pick up on cues like that where people are like, okay, we're uncomfortable.
I want to address
It's
something.
a fucking fetish. Who wants to fucking hear about it?
I want to address something Creepy just said here.
Yeah, it's
Creepy.
right up there with Blake Diamond bragging about getting cum up his ass when nobody wants to fucking hear it.
Okay.
Oh, I wanted to hear about that. It was
I
hilarious.
need to address something real quick. A couple things
sure.
here. Sheldon, I'm going to tell you why there's not much fire right now, and here's why.
Okay.
Creepy. The reason why you don't sound like Digibro is because you are the neutral.
Yeah.
You don't like the thought. You don't want the thought. You have no solid opinion on it.
Yeah,
You don't have a decision on that.
You're the normie here. That's the good thing.
Here's why you're not
fucking
getting
normie.
Here's why you're not getting fire from me on this. That Sheldon's betting. I can't hit a sponge.
Okay, wow.
Jeez.
Don't be
Now
a
you're
dick.
talking to me like I'm a fucking Josh Gordon.
Yeah, no. Basically, freaking LioConVoy's being the right version of fucking Movie Bob over here.
Leo, if you squeeze a sponge hard enough, the blood will come out eventually.
Actually, what I'm saying is more of a reference to that one episode of SpongeBob, where there was that Flats the Flounder who was going to punch SpongeBob, but because SpongeBob's nothing but can't hurt him. What am I supposed to do to this? It's like fighting the void.
I thought we were talking about the Suds episode, but well.
No, not that one.
Like I said, I don't think it's something that needs to be like legislated. I don't think it's something that needs to have like actual. I don't feel like it's something that we need to get rid of, or that it by itself can say too much about your character, other than you might be into something if you like this.
And I disagree.
Yeah.
And
but I want to know why Leo disagrees, because it seems to me we've laid out pretty logically consistent arguments here. I don't see how he's disagreeing with that.
Okay, here's why I disagree with it. For one thing, there is, now you can call it a slippery slope, but it's really not when you discuss it like this. There is, what's the word we're looking for here? Diminishing returns. Yes. Now, you guys brought up valid points of, well, could they pull out of that fetish on their own? Well, sure they could. And somebody who's addicted to alcohol can pull out of that on their own too. But that's not necessarily a guarantee. These people usually need support structures for a reason. Diminishing returns. Go ahead, Sheldon. I know you want to interject.
Well, wait. I was talking about you don't actually know if these people are pedophiles or not. You agree that you're making an assumption about it.
No, my statement has been the same this entire time.
How do you know they're?
Hold on, let him finish. Let him finish. Yeah.
I believe 100% people who look at lolicon pornography, are pedophiles because they're attracted to children characters.
Okay.
That's my consistent stance on this.
But hold on, because.
Well, that's a stance. That's not. What's the logic behind it?
Because they are still jacking off to pornography.
So you're saying, right?
Characters.
You're saying that technically, maybe not even technically, but by your eyes, these are children, right? And thus, you're saying. But how do you? But Leo, don't you agree that if somebody, don't you agree that a pedophile is somebody who, in their brain, it is particular features that are driving them towards that, and not whatever you're defining here, right? Like it's particular things that make somebody a pedophile, right? That they're aroused by.
Well, what you're referring to is certain features that they are attracted to via these children. Most lolicon art has those features.
Actually,
but how do you know it's those features specifically that is arousing them?
Tell me, what else could it be?
Well, it's not just. Well, hang on, real quick. Hang on. It's not just the features. It's the tie and the fact that they're being sexualized. It doesn't just have to be that they're getting fucked by another dude. It's that they could also be presenting themselves.
Well, I'm talking about the features of their body.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that the category of lolicon also has additional connotations to it.
Sure, but let's keep this simple, right? A single image of a single character nude in a sexual position, right?
Okay.
There are
now hold on, Leo. Do you acknowledge that this picture can contain some exaggerated features that, let's say, for example, it's a lot of cutesiness. It's a cuteness to it, right? That isn't necessarily because it's a childlike cuteness, but because it's more of a general cuteness that might be interpreted as arousing. I mean, do you think that's a possibility, or do you think that's not possible?
I think if that's the case, you ought to find the cuteness factor that has to do with a female that's, not a child.
Right. But do you acknowledge that it could be that, and that it's not because?
I think it would be extremely highly unlikely.
Right, but you do acknowledge it as a possibility, and I agree with you. It's extremely unlikely.
If they are so unquestionably retardedly stupid that they don't realize that an adult woman can be cute as well,
sure, maybe. Whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Well, then here's the argument I have, Sheldon. If they're in it for the cuteness factor, then why do they have to go to a fucking hentai website and search lolicon?
Well, it depends. Maybe
because
they didn't
they're
do
attracted
that.
to the art style.
Well, no.
Well,
Hold on. Let me answer.
Hang on. Then why do they have to go to a hentai website?
Well, let me answer. Because you go to the hentai website and it just loads a bunch of pictures, and you're looking at the pictures and you're like, oh, I like that one. That's why. Not because they're specifically looking for anything. Maybe they're just generally looking for shit.
Well, actually,
How can you not?
May I speak up? May I speak up as an otaku?
Yeah, hang on. Let me just
As an otaku.
Yeah, no, here is it fine. I'll even say it as a hentai otaku. Those big giant fucking books that they have are huge, and they run the fucking gambit of various goddamn things. You know Kurt Eichenwald, right?
I've heard of him. Yeah,
Okay.
Jim did a video on him.
Yeah,
right?
no, the comic book, that he got caught on. I looked how many goddamn fucking panels it is before it starts to get to where, you know, a underage material. It's fucking a bit ways in.
I mean, hey, you did the research, right?
Hang on. Okay, here's the counter I was gonna give because I just gave a defeating point. Is that it's like you wouldn't even need to find it on a hentai website. I'm sure that you could still find it on a different image board site.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and let's put it to this way: your average guy, how many?
Hang on.
Okay.
It still means that it doesn't stop them from looking up the lolicon tag in this other site.
No, sure, but we're talking about a hypothetical here, right? Where they wouldn't be doing that, and they would find the picture, and perhaps it's not because of the childlike feature. That's all I'm saying. I'm just trying to show you guys. I'm just trying to show you guys. Well, I'm an autistic I'm autistic about the truth, right? So that's why I'm
trying to give you an autistic
All right, so
response.
but your assertion here is that
yeah,
someone who randomly finds the image completely unintentionally and jerks off to it isn't doing it because you said somebody who pulls up a hentai website and images
no. I'm trying to clarify. Not in the sense of like they're looking for anime porn, yeah, right? But I mean, if you go to, Hate can back me up here. If you go to one of these image board websites, you click on the main page and it just randomly lists pictures, right? So if you're just some dude who's like, yeah, I want some anime chicks, dude, and you load up this fucking page, you're gonna get a massive variety of things.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
It depends on the tag that you're searching up. Because
you don't even have to search a tag.
Right. Well, you don't have to search a tag either. But the other thing is, it goes back to my point about.
That's not exactly.
Hang on. Sorry. Hang on. Let me just make this point real quick, and then I'll let you go.
Then Patch can go. Yeah.
It goes back to what I was saying about looking up Yoko's age. It's the willingness to go out of your way to look this up. It's this, like I'm saying about the lolicon tag material. You don't have to look up lolicon, but if they're going out of their way and looking up lolicon just because they get off to it for whatever reason, that's morally degenerate. Yeah. But also
I really agree with
Patch's turn.
Well, no.
Leo's assertion this whole time has been about people who actively search for and look for and engage with lolicon completely intentionally. Not people who randomly find it. The whole discussion is about avid lolicon.
Yeah, so let me conclude here. My point was to demonstrate that Leo's claim that they are pedophiles is false, and that his actual position is that they probably are, and I'm not convinced that they're not.
Well, according to the FBI's website, more accounts of sexual abuse actually happens from people that aren't even pedophiles.
Plus, not to be a buzzkill, but I think the age of consent is different in Japan.
False. I actually did research on that earlier.
Depends on your product.
The assertion that the age of consent in Japan is 13 is absolutely false.
I wasn't saying 13. I just
province to province, and
it also varies on the age of the people participating in the sexual.
Yeah, and there's also a federal overarching law, so it's like, do they prosecute? Do they not?
Like, I'll give you an example.
Well, they still have the same obscenity laws.
Hold on. I'll give you an example based on Texas law here. All right, in Texas, the age of consent is 17. However, that's only within 3 years of the age of 17.
Yes.
Which means if you're 21 and you're trying to get together with 17, you're getting into the clink. And it's basically the same in Japan.
Colloquially, that's known as a Romeo and Juliet legislation.
Yeah, that's a Romeo and Juliet law, and that does change from state to state.
Yes.
But
Like, for example, some according to Japan's Child Welfare Act, parental consent is required for the marriage of females and males below the age of 16 and 18, and anyone under the age of 18 cannot have sex with anyone between the ages of 13 and 15.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take off. It's been really fun.
What are you taking off?
I've had a great. Why? Well, I need to go to bed because I
No, I
work
said
early.
what? Big
What?
boy.
What am I taking off? What do you mean?
You said you got to take off. What are you taking
Yeah,
off?
I got to
big boy?
take. Oh, you mean like literally? Well, I
full
got to
Sheldon.
take off my conscious state and go to bed.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that
What
I'm
is the
glad I
conscious state?
BTFO'd Leo live on stream, and that was the goal the entire time. Ha ha, suckers!
Ha-ha.
I win. Bye bye.
Chat.
Ha!
Chat.
I win the guy.
Please,
Oh my God.
Please donate. Please donate to the stream so Sheldon can get more weed.
so there is an argument that was briefly brought up here, Leo, that I
Sure.
kind of want to go back to. You
Absolutely.
said that it's a diminishing return thing, right?
It can be, yes.
Do you believe that's true for all fetishes and or porn?
I believe it can be true for all fetishes.
So
and/or porn.
people who are into BDSM will get diminishing returns and be more likely to just be straight up abusive.
Or to move to a different fetish.
Well, yeah, there's like fetishes that branch into other ones, and depending, like, also subjectively, how you
Even
feel
within the
about
world
it.
even in the world of BDSM, there's a difference between blindfolding somebody and pouring hot freaking wax on them too.
Right.
And I speak as someone who is a member of the fetish community and also studied sexology in college when I was
Wait,
on my psych
most
degree.
important thing ever, super chat, obligatory super chat. Thank you, Blinky Iris. Go ahead.
In the BDSM community, if you are found to be actively engaging in abuse, you are ousted because you are not following the standard consent laws of the community. Because within the communities of people who engage in BDSM and fetish culture, the concept of completely immutable consent is engraved in your skull when you join. If there is no consent, if there's no safe word, if there is no regulation between a dom and their sub, you are considered abusive, and you are not only barred from events within your community, but oftentimes people in the community will actively seek to have you arrested for your abuse.
You know, maybe we need something like that for the Loli community.
Perhaps, if
Or
you're
a flamethrower.
Because, I mean, I think we're both in agreement here that Loli by itself, can't,
Lolicon as a paraphilia, as a fetish, can be harmless depending on the individual participating in it. But when someone is explicitly addicted to it and is engaging in unhealthy behaviors regarding it...
Well, the same thing could be said for the BDSM thing.
Exactly. My stances on this are universal. If someone is engaging in a fetish or a paraphilia of some kind and it gets to the point where it can cause harm to others or does cause harm to others, then it needs to be regulated, and that person either needs to get treatment or needs to be imprisoned.
Right. Okay, we're in agreement on that. So I honestly like that you brought up the BDSM thing here, because we can draw a parallel, and maybe that the Loli community needs to, go out of their way to condemn people like that. I mean, we'll bring up Digibro again because he is their front running neckbeard. I mean, if he went out of his way to condemn pedophiles and made that more of his stance, and even if he found anyone in there, publicizing that and getting them out of the community, kind of like what the Brony community did with Toon.
Wait, super chat, Leo. I gave the most just to cuck Eric. Eric, are you gonna take that shit? Anyways,
like I've said before, there are. I consider it a fetish. I'm not into it. I can understand why other people are into it. I can see how not all people are into lolicon are into pedophilia, because there are some distinct differences there. And while, like I said, while I don't participate in it, I don't like it, and I don't want to see it, I mean, I feel like the regulation there, I don't feel like outright censoring it is the right answer.
Well, how do you feel about the fact that explicit pedophiles, not just maps, people who have pedophilic urges but don't engage with kids, but also active pedophiles who do seek out kids, think that pedophilic artwork and material, or any material that sexualizes children, should be fully legalized. How do you feel about that?
I don't feel like
Why should we? Well, hold on. I want this one. Why should we have to dictate from the worst people possible? What if there's people with murderous tendencies who like violent video games?
You cut out there. I only heard like 5 words.
Okay, is it working? Copy.
I hear you.
Okay. What about? I mean, should we sit there and live our expectations if there's someone who's violent and who has, I guess, psychotic tendencies?
No. I'm just asking how he feels about the fact that there are active.
I feel like
why are we following life according to the worst people possible? Why should we limit everyone else's enjoyments because that there's a few loose screwballs?
I'm not saying we should. I'm just asking an opinion.
I can answer the question. I feel like those people are fucked up in the head, and I'm gonna draw a distinction here too. Like, there's a big difference between lolicon and actual artistic depictions of like real naked children. Like if I were to go out of my way to draw a very anatomically correct child in a sexual position, my position here would be just a bit different. And it would be a little bit harder it would be significantly harder to defend.
All right, if it's about how realistically human and childlike it is, how do you feel about foal-con?
Foal-con. It's the same thing with lolicon here. I don't like it. I don't want to see it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm not going to sit there and take other people's right to consume it. As long as it doesn't bleed into the...
Well, I mean,
as long as it doesn't bleed into the reality. As long as it doesn't bleed into.
But the fact that you have a visceral negative reaction to it, don't you think that's a little, telling?
There's a lot of things I have a visceral negative reaction to. That doesn't necessarily mean that I want to take it away from other people, or that everyone else feels the same way that I do. At that point, then I'm just morally grandstanding and telling other people how to fucking live their lives based on my own subjective
I'm talking about concerning your viewpoint.
My viewpoint?
Yeah, doesn't that tell you kind of where you stand on that matter then?
I don't like it, but I also don't believe, since I don't believe it's actively hurting people on its own, I also don't believe that it should be censored.
Okay. Now, when you talk about harm, do you just refer to harming other people or harming oneself as well?
So, if I were to draw a lolicon picture and have people see it, the consumption of the lolicon itself, like, no one was hurt in the process of making it. I didn't take an actual child and draw them. I'm not humiliating any real life person in any way, shape, or form. And just because someone else might misuse that material doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't people out there who are not misusing that material.
I understand that, but that's not really what I'm getting at here. All right, let me give you a better example. You've met alcoholics in your life, yes?
Yeah, I come from a family of them.
Okay. Have you had any alcoholics you've known that have never physically harmed anybody?
Yes.
All right. Do you think they should get help?
Do I think they should get help?
Yes.
If it's negatively impacting their life, yes.
Okay, so these people who draw this and consume it, if it is causing a change in their brain's chemistry, or a change in their behavior, or a change in their action that's negative, would you or would you not constitute that as harm?
I don't know that it's actually doing that, and
I said if it did X, Y, Z.
Okay. If it was changing their chemistry in their brain and it was causing them actual harm, then I would suggest they get help. But I don't feel like banning it is the answer to getting them that help. I feel like it's like, if we're gonna be legally allowed to consume alcohol, and we're gonna be legally allowed to gamble, and we're gonna be legally allowed to do a great many things that are just as dangerous, if not more, then we're We're talking about the possibility of something possibly going down a route that could possibly make someone worse for wear.
So what you're saying is we should ban all these things.
No, I'm saying that we shouldn't ban anything.
I got you know what, Leo? I'll be honest with you.
I feel like
me and Creepy will slowly walk away, shake your hand, and be like, "Well, good luck, kid."
Well, it's like
it's not that you have, it's not that you don't have a valid point that those things are all harmful and shit. It's just, good luck getting people to take your advice there.
I feel like people should have the freedom to fucking hurt themselves, and if they fucking cross the line, that's on them, and they should be punished accordingly.
I had this discussion with somebody earlier, which I had to throw out earlier. Let's talk, because it was the exception to the obscenity law where I was talking about art, and let's say that people who created great art did degenerate acts. No, I wouldn't let those things in. I wouldn't encourage people to cut off their ears just because it was part of Van Gogh's life. They sat there and suffered through whatever legal ramifications they had to go through. I feel that, that should be for future generations too. If those are things that wind up molding those people into being better artists, I mean,
I don't like
fucking... And it's just a subjective to, separate the art from the artist. That's up to the person to do that,
The self-mutilation of the artist has nothing to do with the quality of his art. He was just severely mentally ill.
But art is about separation.
I'm just saying that if, an artist that you like say an actor does, they find out that, they've sexually abused a child.
Well, no. I'm not talking about just pedophilia. I'm talking about, how great musicians or great actors have, a lot of troubled pasts. Yeah, those penalties that come along with those things, even if those things help to lead to create greater things, I believe those penalties very much should still be there. Best. Yeah, if someone's biggest argument is, well, this helped to create someone who created great work, well, then they should have to suffer through all the penalties too. That's,
Well,
sure, yeah, but I'm just saying that the subjective decision to ban this from their life or have that banned should really just be up to them. I'm talking after the fact, if these bad things were to come to light, Anthony.
What are you saying, Patch?
I did catch one here in the chat here real quick. Riley Miller asks, "What are your thoughts on Shadman?"
I don't know him. I don't care about him. And I there you go. Answer done. Patch, you were trying to say something?
I was going to say, well, standard for others, you should also hold yourself accountable when you do things that are wrong. Yeah. And if you engage in something that is deplorable, you should hold yourself accountable, and if possible, give yourself repercussions.
Exactly. If you're consuming lolicon and then suddenly you get the urge to fuck an actual kid, right? That's when you need to think to yourself, wow, fucking children is wrong and I should get help. If I start shooting a gun and I think, wow, I would love to shoot a real person, that's when I should be like, maybe I shouldn't own a gun. It's about personal responsibility, and I can hold people to a standard and I can punish them when they fuck up, but I don't believe that just censoring things and removing things and banning things is necessarily going to stop it. Or that even if it would have a negative impact, should we really be limiting people's freedom of expression for the possibility of something maybe going wrong down the line?
Right. No, and here's the thing.
We should be promoting. Yeah, we should really be promoting personal responsibility here, and
and it's
maybe instilling greater standards in that community itself if they want to remain a community at all.
Right, and it's up to the people to make the decisions on whether or not they want to force those kinds of things, but it's also up to the people, the sheep following the shepherd sort of thing, their willingness to go ahead and go through with this sort of decision making. And I mean, the point I wanted to make was it's when I was doing my video on Tune and I was going over the call, he was going over his reasonings as to, why he seeked out this 14-year-old. And the reason is because 3 years before the call, he was interacting with someone who he found out later lied about their age. And his reasonings for, like I said, seeking out this 14-year-old was because their interactions had turned him on, and stuff like that. And then he finds out they're a kid. It's he had this thought running in his mind where it's like, you know, why was this okay? Why did I enjoy it? I need to go.
Needed to tell himself that it was fucking wrong the moment he realized
I
that
know.
was a kid.
And it's like the moment, the very nanosecond where you have to contemplate, I think this may or may not turn me on. You need to go see help. Go get some help.
Like the thing here with Toon, as a specific case, right? He, in a normal person, if they hear someone's underage, they don't think to themselves, wow, that was great, and I want to do that again. They should think to themselves, oh my god, you were underage? Hey, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
And, you know, take precautions in the future to not engage in sexual activity with an actual child.
Right. No,
if you're, and this is more about, this isn't Toon accidentally finding someone and then realizing they're a child later and then being turned into a pedophile. This is
no.
Doesn't
The
have
thing
an inhibitor to prevent them from doing actions that are morally reprehensible according to
right. No, I'm saying that in that situation, he was not in the wrong because they lied about their age. He didn't know about it. But what makes it worse is that he said in the call, and like I said again, this is purely testimonial. I couldn't find any proof that this was the case. They actually called the police on him, and it's like even after that moment, I was like, "You still contemplated whether or not you wanted to seek this out? What the fuck?"
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot to be said about personal responsibility, and people who don't have that inhibitor there to let them know that what they're doing is hurting someone else. You know, those are the type of people that probably should be in prison or should be having the government up their ass, you know? And preferably I like to find those people before they hurt people. And, but until we get a, like, you know, system in place that has a, you know, 100% likelihood of finding those people and getting them help before they hurt people, I mean, we're kind of stuck with the system that we got. I don't like lolicon, and I don't like lolicon the same way I don't like scat. Oh, are you okay?
That's scat.
Lol.
Patch?
See? Anthony got it, and that's why I did it.
Yeah,
Patch
you're
here?
too young. You're too young, Leo. I mean,
Yeah.
freaking creepy.
I don't get...
Spam this image across the internet.
Responding? Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, I don't like lolicon the same way that I don't like scat. And that's, like, the biggest factor for me. Can scat lead to diseases and hurt people? Yeah, but, like, people have the right to do whatever the fuck they want as long as they're not hurting other people. Do whatever you want. Cut off your own fucking ear. Fucking...
I'm not going to agree with that.
But again, you'll agree that if something does happen...
If something does happen, and it does make that leap, then fucking throw the whole book at them, and then some.
Right. Fine. If a credible you know, study was to come out and say, oh, we've recently discovered a trend with, you know, online internet predatory behavior and lolicon, obviously you would be with that, right? Like
correlation doesn't equal causation.
We're talking about a study that shows that the correlation in this case did equal causation.
You're talking about a study that says lolicon can quite literally change someone's brain chemistry to make them into pedophiles in the real world.
I'm saying that, like, if the study was to come out... Well, no, I'm saying if the study was to come out recently and it was, like, done with the FBI, let's say, and it's the number of cases of online child predatory behavior and the use of lolicon, say, as a means to groom children, and they say that, you know, it's this growing trend of lolicon being used to groom children, it should be banned. You would be for that then, right?
No, because guns are often used in muggings. That doesn't necessarily mean we need to ban guns.
ZD would know.
Like I said, just because something has the potential to be used for bad doesn't necessarily that thing.
I'm pretty sure someone could have robbed him by like freaking stick point or freaking.
No, what we need to do is we need to ban guns and legalize swords.
No, you just tell him his tracks are shit. Coil up like a little bitch.
Oof. Go ahead, Patch.
Well, there has been medical research proving that there is a correlation between standard child pornography, whether it be hyper-realistic drawn pictures of children or photography,
I wonder how they got that down.
connection with medical research mostly.
No, I'm just saying, like, I wonder what the honestly, I wonder what the how they did that, like, because, I mean, so one, getting your hands on child pornography and showing it to a human, and then also getting a standard and procedure, you know, that must be hard and also highly unethical. So I'm wondering how they came to that conclusion.
We also have a lot of our modern medicine that came about very unethically after World War II because we kind of pardoned certain dirt bags.
But we now have we now have standards in medical practice.
You think we have standards?
There is a literal board against human experimentation.
I'm sure they are in the United States.
Right. I'm not saying that you're wrong, Patch. I'm just kind of curious how they came to that conclusion and what the process
I don't know.
was.
I would have to get access to the.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying you're bad. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not criticizing you.
Name of the researcher, you could probably reach out to them and get a copy of their documentation directly. That's the best way to get around the whole having to pay for academic papers thing, is just reach out to the researcher themselves.
Definitely. That's what my wife does.
And I like I said, I'm glad that you are bringing that type of thing up in there. I'm just kind of curious what the method was.
I don't know what the method was because I don't have the documentation, but my point here is child pornography has been proven to have causation in the addiction to abusing children that is present in a lot of not just medical pedophiles, but general child abusers. People who abuse children sexually tend to either be a pedophile or someone who has a neuroticism problem. Sometimes narcissism, sometimes just an addiction to abusing others. If there was a direct causational on like lolicon causing people to develop an addiction to the abuse of children, how would you feel about it? Would you believe it should be regulated? Not necessarily banned, but regulated.
I wouldn't be opposed to regulation. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I wouldn't be advocating for censorship, but you know, maybe if you sign up to a website that has that kind of material on it, the government has the right to keep tracks on you or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But you know, banning, like I said before, it's just like banning something that in itself does not hurt anyone in its creation. You know, it's more of in its application.
Unless it was proven in a court of law.
Well, there's in itself, lolicon doesn't hurt anyone when it's made or how it's made. What hurts people is its potential application, and though we've already acknowledged before that there can be some positive applications for it, some negatives, and some neutrals. And while I said, don't feel, I didn't say this before, I don't feel like you need to have a positive application for something to be used or be legal. I do say that, like I said, it's just more in how it's used and more along the lines of regulation coming as it's proven more and more likely to hurt someone. Like if there's a likelihood of material.
Well, what about artists like, and this person was mentioned by someone in the chat earlier, shadmen who make recreations of real life people?
If they draw a real life child naked and humiliate them, I mean, I'd consider that literal sexual assault.
And why do you consider that different? Is it just because it's an existing person and not a fictional
Yeah, if I were to take someone else's body and recreate it, especially if it's a child, because one, you would have to literally see a naked child.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Is any of the things that Shadman does count as satire?
Yes, from what I
Which is 1v1 covered by free speech, is it not?
It can be, yes.
I don't.
I look. I'm not. Yeah, I'm just saying. Then there you go. If is it done for political purposes? Does Shadman make fun of political figures?
I mean, in the drawings he's done of fucking 14-year-old Emma Watson getting laid with other classmates, I don't really think so. I don't think there's any political agenda behind, I'm gonna draw teenage Emma Watson having sex with frickin' Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter.
Well, it's like, here's the thing. It's like,
sounds like really cringy fan fiction.
What is it? I think it was from your pod that you had with Vita like a long time ago or whatever. I think reposted or whatever.
Yeah.
I think you guys brought up that fact that like he did artwork.
Are we talking about someone?
We're talking about Shadman. Hang on. So
yeah.
He did that artwork of Keemstar's daughter. I'm like, well, what is the satire of that? What is Keemstar?
I was asking a question. I literally asked either Leah or Patch, which I think they both answered. That's it.
Sure, but I'm just saying that there's instances where it's not.
Are we talking about someone drawing, like recreating a drawing of an actual
hateful. You're asking me as if I were an authority. I was asking because I didn't know.
I'll make it clear for
Well, I don't know. I just know that it exists and that he made that.
Hold on, I'll make it clear for Creepy. What Keemstar has done in the past is there are people that are disgruntled with him.
Oh, I know Keemstar has done shit in the past.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking. Sorry, not Keemstar. Shadman. What he's done in the past is, like, Keemstar was one of the people he threatened to do this with, where he was going to draw pornographic images of his daughters.
Don't we have laws like Don't we have revenge porn laws?
That's not really the case.
Yeah, revenge porn is, for example, if like say, I'm just going to pull a random name out. If Hateful Tate went out with random brony girl, and they consensually filmed them having sex, and then later on... It was
good sex.
Yes, let's say it was good sex. And later on, he's just like, I'll put that out there. Depending on his state, if that state had revenge law, statutes, he would probably be found guilty of that leaking.
Right, and I don't know if Russia has that law.
Okay.
Admin is a Russian?
Yeah, I thought he was from Russia.
I was under the assumption that he was an American citizen, but that could just be me being ignorant.
Well, you know what? Okay, let me cheer you up with that. Not knowing, I guess knowing less about Shadman isn't a bad thing.
That was about what I was gonna say.
Yeah, there you go. Don't feel bad. Shit. I was asking.
Like weirdness here. Like if we're talking about like redrawing a actual image of someone like naked, like taking like for example.
No, not even redrawing. Just creating a depiction of. Like, what that person's body looks like in real life, but without any clothes and engaging in sexual acts.
I feel like that could be considered... I feel like that should be under harassment.
Alright, so this is where I gotta pull up my milquetoast fucking goddamn former paralegal studies. This is why your common layman isn't asked or allowed to give their legal opinions. Because you have to go to court to find out. There's a lot of things in law that are counterintuitive. And there's a lot of lawyers who specifically have gone to school for years and years and years, and they can only speak specifically on very specific fields and very specific states. So whether we feel something is legal or not, we're just spinning our wheels at that point.
Well, I'm just saying, I feel like there was no need work of Keemstar's daughters because besides the fact that they're related to Keemstar, they didn't really do anything.
I didn't even know Keemstar had a daughter, so...
Yeah. I feel like we could probably... I feel like they're, like, one, especially when it involves a minor, I feel like that's, like, a very intense form of harassment. Like, political or not. Like, just drawing someone else's kid.
Well, yeah. Mind you, hang on real quick. Now, mind you, it's the same case with Mundane Matt when he claimed that people were making threats against his daughter. He was under no obligation to make his personal life, his family relationships a public matter. I don't know how it became mainstream public news that Keemstar was a daddy. It's the same case.
Keemstar had people
Keemstar is no one's daddy.
He's no one's daddy.
Well, yeah, okay. But I'm just saying that he's under much obligation to keep his personal life away from the public eye.
I agree with that.
Yeah, there is a certain point where if you're a parent, you have to protect your children, and if protecting them means making sure no one knows they exist, then that's your responsibility as a parent.
You know, I have a whole issue with fucking child stars too, so.
I do too, but we're getting kind of on.
Yeah,
here.
we got way off topic.
Yeah, I lost track.
Well, that has been 2.5 hours since at least I hopped on, so we're gonna probably go ahead and cut this out pretty soon because I've got stuff to do.
Oh yeah, no, I could fucking call it a wrap here.
Hey,
Good
creepy,
talk.
real quick question. You going to BronyCon?
Yes. I'm also gonna be at BabsCon here.
Yeah.
Fight me IRL at BronyCon.
Do it.
He doesn't.
1v1 me at Rust. 1v1 me on Rust in Call of Duty 4.
Rust on
not
Call of
the remake.
Oh, creepy! I will give you $5 to participate in the fighting tournament that Leo and Vita are holding. I will give you a
wait, what fighting tournament?
$5 bill.
We're gonna Tatsumatsu Papukin you, buddy.
$6.
Like, are we talking like a video game? Or are we talking about real life?
No, real fighting. Like
Well,
fist
hold on. Not fist fighting. What we're doing is what we're doing is
There, he's gonna bust out his finest kendo sticks. You see.
Yes, my finest kendo sticks that are made out of nylon, and we actually have full protective gear. Yes, those. Or if you're not comfortable with that, creepy, I'll wrestle you.
Oh my god, I don't like touching. I don't like.
Then I'll
touching
win
other
easily.
people.
Creepy, I will give you a whole $5 to do this.
For
like,
$100, I'll do it.
Okay, I'll give you. Okay, hold on. I'll give you $100 to wrestle me. Sure.
Fuck it. Sounds like a plan, man. I will wrestle you for $100. I am
All
not
right,
much of a money whore.
Let's do it.
Chat, donate $100 so Creepy can fight Leo.
I'm warning you, Leo. I've been next to creepy reading. Man, you're gonna have to hold your breath.
It's all right. I know how to combat Scrawn.
I'm just fucking with you. You're fine.
I'll cover myself in Vaseline and wear a speedo.
Oh Jesus Christ.
I mean, like the greased up deaf guy.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, you know where I was going.
I think you're underestimating how much He-Man I've watched in my years.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not underestimating it at all.
The 80s cartoons.
There's a reason why the Vaseline's needed.
You've underestimated me for the last
I'm not
time.
underestimating. I think I'm estimating enough to know that I need precautions.
All right, man, let's go ahead and cut this out.
All right, cool. We'll hit stop.
I appreciate the civil discussion.